Hello, everybody, and welcome on this Saturday morning for a brand new episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Programmio radio program of the street. I'm still working on that. Months I'm trying to come up with what that's supposed to be, and it's like Facebookio Streamio Programmio of the air, and we're live on this Saturday, March 9th, 2019. I'm Dave. That's my darling and adorable wife.
If I should comb your hair on the
Should you? No, my hair's, it's actually, considering the amount of hair I have, I think my hair is lovely. My beard is very nice. I trimmed it. I didn't do the nose hair trim. I may have to do that during the show. You guys let me know. Ear hair, very, very reticulated, I think would be the word today. So welcome, everybody. Let's play our intro music and get right into Dave's Gone By, which would be good if I put up the volume. That would help a lot.
It helps for people who use the hearing.
Yeah.
Good morning. There goes the Daverhood. And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island Hearts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Well,
David,
yeah.
could you tell me why two tropical flamingos would get in a food fight?
Well, they're fighting over fruit. Joyce is asking about the Captain Beefheart song that opens and has opened every Dave's Gone By since we started.
I understand it would look messy and very tropical.
Yes.
But I don't understand why they would get in a fruit fight. Aren't they peace-loving?
Well, no, birds, not necessarily. They're flamingos, so they're big and giant. And let's say there's one piece of fruit
Yes.
that they're fighting over.
Yes.
So they start going, and it's all these colors. And it's a tropical hot dog. I don't know where the hot dog comes in.
Why would there be a tropical hot dog? Is that for the pee-pee? Does that mean the pee-pee?
Well, think about it. What is the most famous hot dog place in New York?
Papaya.
Papaya King. Papayas have nothing to do with hot dogs.
Is Regis filming, Dad?
What do you mean? What? Sorry?
Is Regis filming, Dad?
No,
He
why?
used to go there all the time. He used to love it. He used to take all the guests there. He loved it.
Because you could buy a hot dog
Yes.
back in the day for
And he
$1.50.
loved it. And they said they were delicious.
Yeah.
And they were like, you could get any topping.
I mean, for years being brought up kosher and stuff, I never tried a New York dirty water hot dog
No.
until I finally did. And it's beautiful. They have them in the carts all day. They're swimming in this water, and they pull one out, and it's hot, and it's good.
I think it's probably like a cesspool.
I'm sure it is. That's how it gets its flavor.
That's where the men and women have the carts go pee-pee.
You think?
Yes, I think that's their pee-pee.
Well, the acid content in urine is going to cook the Frank a little bit. I never realized that Frankfurters were basically cooked before you cook them.
Yeah.
This I did not realize.
Come cooked, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they assumed to me, oh, well, you could technically take them out of the thing and just defrost them and eat
It would
them.
be disgusting. It's like Hosier. They were born sick, but you love them.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, like my mother, my darling and wonderful mother, with whom we are living, and my
Hey,
dad.
Mother.
Hi, Mother. I love you, Mother. I'll always love you, Mother. My name is No. So we were talking about this last night.
Channeling Shaka Khan.
That was Channeling Wildman Fisher Khan. No, but I was talking with her because she made Franks and beans
Yes.
for dinner, right? I know, it's disgusting. You're a vegetarian.
No,
but
I went with her when she got the beans. I just was curious. In your family, beans are not a good additive to the diet. You know what I'm saying?
there we are. I mean, a can of Heinz beans isn't as healthy as an organic can of Progresso or who makes, I don't know, some things organic, Elaine's Organic. What's the name of that one that we used to get? Remember we used to get it in Trader Joe's and in the other.
365.
something organic,
Yeah.
Evelyn's organic
Yes,
beans. So this is Heinz, where they plopped some formerly healthy beans into a bunch of tomato sauce and vinegar and
And so they
sugar
put some crack.
and
There's
molasses.
a little bit of crack.
A little bit of crack, yeah, a little bit of pentothal, and it's in there, and it's good. It's friggin' tasty. You cut frankfurters into it, and it's yummy. It just is, right?
Good.
Not something I would even eat every week, but it's nice. It's tasty, right?
If you eat it like a soup,
Yeah. It's little frankfurter pieces cut into Heinz can of beans. What? Franks and beans. It's what people have been eating for decades in America.
bangers and mash.
Well, no, there's no mash involved, and thank goodness for that. Thank you, potato.
If you come on your bed.
What was it? Oh, but my mother has her ways, and one of those ways is it's hard for her to find frankfurters, and I'm like, no, it's not. And she's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, they have to be kosher Franks.
Yeah, Hebrew
They have to be
National.
Hebrew National. So I tell her, any supermarket.
Yeah.
They're more expensive, of course, than any other Frank on the shelf, but there they are. And she's like, no, I don't get the frozen. Why don't you get it? Because they're slimy. She has a prohibition against buying the prepackaged Hebrew National frankfurters. She's got to get them from the butcher or the
frozen.
huh?
They're in the deli case.
Or worse, they're not frozen. They're in like the cold case, and then she'll freeze them, and they become slimy somehow.
David, this is disgusting.
Well, a slimy hot dog,
Everybody.
yeah.
Who wants a slimy?
Reminds us of our honeymoon.
Who
But
wants a slimy wiener?
oh, there you go. Yes, we need. Well, what's wrong with the noise machine? Oh, you got the tea there.
I'm drinking my tea and I'm petting the dog.
Here's our noisemaker. By the way, welcome to my cousin Adam, who tuned in, and Jay,
Adam
our friend of the
Glass.
Daverhood, our actor director. Yes,
Oh,
Adam
I
and
think he
Claudia.
ask Adam if he had a birthday recently.
Adam, I think he did. Adam, did you have a birthday? If you did, most happy birthday to
Ask
you.
him, did he get a Carvel cake?
Did you get what I got on my birthday? A Carvel cake?
Tell him we'll send him a cookie puss.
Oh,
If he
yes.
comes over, we'll get a cookie puss.
We have a puss coming your way.
Cookie puss.
Cookie puss, of course, yes.
For Bobby's birthday, we had all fudgy cakes.
Well, now that we found the Carvel website, we could send them any number of kinds of cakes.
Yeah, but it's not the same as
Not the
going
same.
and looking at it and
No.
picking them out.
And plus, we're only a week away from Cookie O Puss time for
Yes,
St.
Cookie-
Patty's Day.
I will be in Las Vegas on St. Patty's Day.
No, you won't. You'll
Doing
be
my
in.
one-woman show.
Yeah. Well, what's it called? What's it about?
Give me a break, dear God. Give me a
I like the title. Give me a break, dear God. Just give me a break.
I think I would call it the rise and the pride. Pride cometh before the fall.
Well, yeah. Our university had its fall this week. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's 88 people
88
on the.
people. Well, there
No.
were
That's not
11
true.
were fired and 77 positions were frozen, meaning they won't fill them.
We come from a town in northern Colorado. I mean, originally we come from New York, but we've been in northern Colorado for about 10 years, and we work at a university there that shall remain nameless.
I told my friend last night, I said, I've been in Colorado 10 years. She said, when did you go there? I said, 1998. It's 2009 and 8.
You were conflating the misery of our with the misery of working at this university.
I got confused.
Yeah. So the university has been going through these gyrations and permutations over the past several months to save $10 million that were squandered by the previous president and provost, right? So they're $10 million in the hole that they have to save every year from now on. It's not like a one-time...
I've been reusing the same Post-it for 5 years. I've been reusing the same Post-it.
I've been using the same squares of toilet paper over and over again. But so this week they finally came out, and the thing, the president of the university is like, we're not drifting, we're rowing. I'm like, okay, yeah. Good that he probably got someone from the English department to help him with that.
No, I think what he's doing is he's dinging the past administration for just drifting, like going
That's fair.
along. Like coasting. What's the word in English? Coasting?
That's the word, yeah.
And so I think he wants to say like he's actively
Which he
paddling
is.
water.
This man was hired essentially to get us out of a hole. He was hired to be a bean counter.
Hired to be like he's not as attractive. George Clooney is good looking when he fired people. But
Well, yeah.
I think his job.
He's not a bad-looking guy.
He's to be the axe, right? He was hired to
Yeah.
be the axe.
He's hired, and he's got to do that. So, and as you said, one of the things about presidents of universities is they stay usually for about 5 to 10 years, and then they go on and they want a bigger, better university. So they can't be hated when they get that first university position, even if they're cutting, even if they're chopping and slicing and dicing. They want to do a good job and they need to find the money.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, they don't want to just have everybody despise them for just not stanching the bleeding. So he's trying to work his way around that. And they managed this week to say, okay, 11 people at the university will be fired, which, considering the university employs hundreds, is a very, very small percentage. And I think what we found out was that most, if not all, of those people who were fired were not faculty. They were mid-level admin.
No, you're confusing. Those weren't the fired, those were the frozen. The frozen were a lot of, like, equal faculty, staff, and mid-level.
Well, those are 88 or 77 people who were
the 11
positions that will not be.
Who they are. We don't know.
Well, I thought you said, well, I'm not going to, certainly not going to name
I know
names,
who they are because I know when I email somebody who's not there, but.
Right. Well, are they faculty or were they admin? I thought they were mid-level admin. Oh,
both.
Really? Okay.
It said faculty.
Oh,
the 11 they killed were faculty.
All right. So they removed 11 faculty. And the weird thing is that there are 80-something positions that they're not firing people. They're just not hiring to fill.
77.
Yeah. How do that many positions go unfilled and the university continues anyway?
Well, some of them are hopeful, but yeah, and then they still hired. I saw in the last UNC newsletter they hired some. So then they came out with the thing saying we're going to have to hire some people to readjust for those losses.
Yes.
Right?
Well, here's the thing. On the list of positions, because they don't list names, obviously they shouldn't.
They can't.
But they list positions that are being frozen. In other words, the positions open, somebody quit, somebody left, and they're not going to rehire anybody, so they don't have to pay that salary.
Yes.
But there's like a dozen custodians that are not going to be hired.
I know.
And it made me wonder, it's like, what buildings aren't being cleaned?
I know.
What toilets are not being scrubbed?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
This is the hard part for me because we're not there.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like, let's say the last time you see somebody, they're healthy, and then they get a disease. I'm paralleling the university disease. So then you see them and they're sick. You don't see them sick. You see them healthy because you've never seen them sick. So all I imagine at the university is things are exactly the way they are when we left, but they're not. But because I've not seen it and I've heard about it, I can't envision what it would look like.
But at the same time, I mean, when we left, the university was already sick. I mean, let's say when we left, the university had AIDS, and then they're trying to steer it towards HIV.
No, that's the reverse.
No, it's getting better.
But I don't think you could do that. I mean, I don't know. It's very weird. It's such a weird.
Well, again, it's not.
Academia is in a sinkhole. The whole institution.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Yeah, I mean, as bad as stuff is at our university, I imagine it's worse in other places. And we can say, okay, it does affect you. Your department was
I don't know
destroyed.
If it's public. I don't know if it's when it's public.
What I thought you said, everybody knows.
Yeah, but I don't know when the official announcement comes out. So
do they make even an official announcement? Are you adding more grad students? I think not.
No, but I don't think it's official.
So and then can we say officially that the person you work with, you won't be,
I don't want it on
well, it's there. But anyway, welcome, by the way, to our friends in Northern Colorado, and of course all our folks here on Long Island as well. My Auntie Essie tuned in, and Becky and Robert and Kenny and Drew. He tunes in every week. Great to see you, Drew. Roger and Bruce and Gina, a lot of the I won't say famous, a lot of the people who are famous to me because they tune in every week and I see their names.
They're regulars. It's like Cheers.
Yes,
Everybody knows their name.
Well, everybody knows your name. Roger, Bruce. Well, everybody knows your name. Gina and Rick and Chris. I should have loosened my throat more before singing.
The Friends of the Daverhood, what are they?
Well, see, Friends of the Daverhood, I got to think of a name for that too. Because friends are people who have appeared on the program.
How about neighbors?
Yeah, you're Davers.
Davers, yeah.
So all our Davers, Becky and Robert and Kenny and Drew and Roger and Tony, of course, Bruce, Gina, Rick, Chris, my Aunt Esther, my cousin Adam.
It sounds like a Christmas list.
Well, yeah, a Hanukkah list here, or an upcoming Purim list. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I didn't even say Ray and Claudia and Jay and...
I love the name Claudia. I always liked it. It's so easy to pronounce, and I like it. Claudia.
Claudia.
I like it.
It's Claudia with a chance of meatballs. There we go. I'm not spitting that much that over there you can.
Take it.
I'll get you a windscreen or something.
Thank God I wear
I'm very
glasses.
expectorant, ladies and
Thank God
gentlemen.
I wear glasses. That's the saving grace of it.
Well, anywho, it is March 9th, 2019. Not just in the Daverhood, but everywhere. We're calling this episode Daylighted to See You. But of course, we go back to daylight savings time, or is it the other one?
I don't know.
Well, whatever. It's fall, spring ahead, fall back. So remember that at 1 o'clock or 2 a.m. this coming morning, you're going to set your clocks forward. You quote unquote lose an hour, but spend 1 or 2 of your hours or 3 hours right here on Dave's Gone By. We're here every week from 9 until 11 plus a.m. doing the Dave's Gone By show right here on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. Dave Lefkowitz is my name. Joyce is the missus. She will be right back. And then we'll get to the show, which includes Greeley Crimes and Old Times, which we get from our local newspaper, the Greeley Tribune. And then we'll also have a Saturday Segue. I don't think we did one last week. We'll be back with that. That's a fun little game we play, where I play a short piece of music, and then you have to figure out why I'm playing it. Not just to be annoying, but to say, hey, something happened in the news or current events this week, and Dave's playing this song that corresponds to it. Why that song? Kind of fun, I think. Plus, we will have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where I do a short and usually horrible poem devoted to a place in Colorado. And we'll go inside Broadway, because I do love talking about the theater. We have a little bit of theater news. I will review the Broadway production of To Kill a Mockingbird, adapted by Aaron Sorkin, of course, from the Harper Lee novel and the Horton Foote screenplay. What else? Well, that's about enough for a perfectly good program, I believe. So let me remind you about our fine sponsors. Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. Broadway, not theater Broadway, but Broadway right here in Hewlett, Long Island, because that's where they're at. 1315 Broadway. You can find them right across the street from the giant Petco, 2.5 blocks from the LIRR. There they are. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Look at this lovely laminated color, double-sided paper. Hewlett Minuteman, they do stuff like that. They also do binding and printing and putting silk screens of logos on uniforms and clothing. They can also do calendars with your company's photos on them and insignias. They'll do balloons. They will do holiday cards and birthday and wedding invitations. If it helps you or your business, Hewlett Minuteman Press is there for you. They're franchise owned and operated by the Torong family since the mid-1970s. I work with them all the time. They're really, really great. Give them a call. 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. 516-569-5577. Just got a thumbs up from Tony for Hewlett Minuteman. I think that's great. And let me tell you something. I use them now for some of the work that I do, plus they're sponsors, so I get a very nice discount. But, I was using them before I did this program. And when I was in Colorado for the past 9 years, I was using Hewlett Minuteman, doing things by email and by mail and stuff, and PDF. They can do that. You don't even have to walk in. You can kind of call them and say, hey, can I send you a job? And I'm hundreds of miles away. So send us a job by email, PDF it. We'll get her done. We'll see if this is what you want. Boom, boom, boom. Pay our bill. Here's your stuff. And that's exactly how it works. Hewlett Minuteman Press, they are the copy kings. Well, I do feel like king of the universe here. I'm delaying a little bit until Joyce gets back to do Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on this Saturday, March 9th, 2019. I'll tell you what that is. In fact, I'll even play our special opening. It's not really special. You can find it on a Tom Waits album. Greeley Crimes and Old Times. So here's what happens every week, and this comes literally out of the newspaper that we have back home, the newspaper that used to print 7 days a week and now prints hard copy only 4 days a week because everything in America is just, well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. The Greeley Tribune. Okay, and we're very, very, shall we say, it's not like we want to advertise them. I've written for them one time. I have one byline in this newspaper and I have like one story written about me. Be nice if they could hire me for more, but anywho. But in recompense, I use them because there's 2 articles that appear in the newspaper every week. And they're fun, and they're intentionally fun and goofy and zany. One of them is called Cop Log. Cop Log, and this is where phone calls come into the Greeley Police Department, or the Weld County Police Department, from people who say, whoa, I need help. Something terrible is happening. And usually the thing that's terrible happening is in them. So they gather them, because it's public record, and once a week they print a log of those phone calls coming into the police department. Together, more. So
we get together,
the happy will be. So, and my friends, how does that go? Keep going.
And my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be.
Dude. Yeah.
I like that.
One of those camp songs. I think it's rather campy if you think about it. Also in the Greeley Tribune, we kind of mash in another column that they do called 100 Years Ago, where Mike Peters, our friend of the Daverhood, will go through the newspapers literally 100 years ago in Greeley, Colorado. It was called the Greeley Tribune Republican back then. Big surprise. So, and in the 100-year lens retrospect, some of the items that were in the newspaper back then are disturbing or funny or just plain goofy or nostalgic. So that's why we call this segment Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And by the way, big welcome to David, who a high school friend of ours.
Is that Dr. David?
Yeah, Dr. David. Well, first person who ever told us about disimpactions.
Do you want me to give him, let's give him the orb for health.
Yes, please. Because, David had some very, very life-threatening health stuff.
Yeah, but don't share that.
And he's still working. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not going to say
Do
what.
like a televangelist. Dr. David, this is the orb of health. And you see the magic. Wait, where's the magic orbs? See the magic exuding from it?
Yeah.
Now, and encourage him to now do some kind of shamanistic prayer on the orb.
Oh, wait, he's having an orbgasm. Baruch atah orb denai. There we go. So we're giving Dave the healing orb here. Also, oh God, so many other people. Martha has tuned in, and Michael, and Pam, #1 fan, Pam.
Give the orb to everybody.
Yeah, and Pam, I'm really just stopping. Again, she's just stopping by to say hi. She stopped by last week to say hi. She stayed for an hour and a half.
What I think happened?
What?
Pam is not of the Jewish persuasion, but she works with so many Jewish people. They've given her guilt. They have created guilt in Pam. Now she's like, I'm sorry, I can't stay that long. I didn't bring a babka. I didn't bring the chocolate-covered babka you like, but I still stopped by. They've induced guilt in somebody who had no guilt.
Well, yeah, and also I feel guilty for Pam because she was listening last week when we had Renee Taylor on, the wonderful actress from The Nanny. And Renee Taylor's going to be playing on Long Island next weekend.
Yeah,
and Pam and I are strategizing of how to go see her. But she has to work during that day. She won't have the car at night. I don't have a car here. And we all wanted to...
There's a thing called Boober. Go in the Boober.
I'm not going to make a joke about that. But yeah,
where is it?
It's in... it might be Elmont or Patchogue.
You can take the train.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's kind of a roundabout logistically thing, but she's working on one of the days she can't go. And
I think you could get the train at Valley Stream.
Not to this, unfortunately. You have to go all the way to Jamaica and back. So it becomes a thing. Yeah. She's doing, Renee Taylor's doing 3 performances.
That's good. We should have a chance.
Yeah. But we were trying to think, when could we go and when can Arnold go? And Arnold can't go. So it's like, anywho, not going to happen.
Logistical planning is Ubers. It's the hardest.
Yeah. But anyway, it was nice strategizing and planning. But Pam says, I'm really just stopping by to say hi. I'm on my girls' getaway weekend. Bye. Oh. Yes.
Ooh, a lot of beefcake. Girls' getaway weekend, you don't want to know.
Oh, they go looking
get
for
away.
Yeah.
Get away.
Huh. Okay. You think they do naughty things?
No, I think you just have a heck of a lot of fun without the menfolk.
Right, so there's no beefcake. Yeah.
It's a blessing to not have the menfolk.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you very much.
It's a
Thanks.
blessing.
She's looking at me directly and saying, "It's a blessing not to have men around." Yeah.
It is.
And by the way, welcome to Mary as well. So many people tune in. It's really great. You're giving us hearts
Don't
and
do
thumbs
David-
up.
Do a David Venable going, "Oh Mary."
Oh, Mary, gonna do the happy dance. Happy dance. Kind of hard to get up here because I'm hemmed in. But imagine me standing and
Aw.
twirling slowly, going happy
And imagine
dance.
you like 10'5" with like skin the color of leather and hair the color of velour.
Shut the front door.
Oh yes.
Yes, we're talking about David Venable from QVC.
We love him.
It's a beautiful thing. Anywho,
I hope he gets married one day and finds a nice lady and settles down.
honey, we need to talk. We'll sit down and we'll have a little chat. But until then, we're in the kitchen with David. Actually, we're not in the kitchen. We're in a place that is my room, but looks more like a bathroom. Yeah, here in New York, from whence we're doing
Yes.
the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream time for Greeley crimes and old times. Are you ready, babe?
I was born ready.
All right, here we go. Greeley police. Oh, do you have your noisemakers?
I do not.
Okay, I'll give you the
You woke up our dog. He was nicely schluffed.
Yeah.
How'd you schmuck?
What, our dog can't even listen to my own program
He
here?
was sleeping.
He's got to sleep through it?
Well, because you're spraying on him. He feels like it's a spritz.
Anywho. All right. Greeley police responded to 10th Avenue Court for a woman, possibly on drugs, walking backward across the street.
No, she was doing the bangles. Walk like an Egyptian.
Actually,
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
the caller said the woman was dancing and, quote, doing her own thing.
Good.
But she also kept turning around to cross the street backwards.
Maybe she was doing some sort of performance-based art.
That could be.
Yeah.
This is Karen Finley's
God
latest
bless
work.
her. God bless her. If you can dance across the street backward, I can't even walk in the street without killing
I
myself.
can barely walk
If
forward.
she can walk backward and dance and do her own thing, God bless her. She should shake her groove thing.
She was.
I think she was escaping New Jersey. I heard she was.
Everybody's trying to escape.
escaping.
Oh, I wanted to give a
Wait, hold on. I'll give this.
a disclaimer on that to the audience. When I was talking about the things that were going to be on this episode of Dave's Gone By, I mentioned Inside Broadway, I mentioned the Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and our Saturday Segue. I forgot to mention Storytime, where we're doing part 2, and you might want to not have the kids here, but we will be talking about New Jersey. We'll be going through more of this book about New Jersey. So if you have a sensitive stomach or a sensitive constitution,
Thank God it's not smell-o-vision.
just be warned.
Thank
Yeah.
God it's not smell-o-vision.
We should brand this episode NJ17 because you have to be 17 years old to actually sit through hearing about New Jersey.
Yes.
So there.
I could imagine New Jersey with you spitting in it.
God, thank you. Yeah, I'm really
You're
very
very
juicy
juicy.
today. Yeah. Police
Okay,
responded to 15th Street
hold on.
for a man leaning up against a tree
Yeah.
for hours without moving.
How can you do that?
I have no idea.
Maybe he was dead. How can you leave hours without moving?
Well, I've
Was
heard of tree huggers. I guess this is like tree friend with benefits.
Was
Kind
he
of.
sleeping?
I don't know what.
How do you sleep? Maybe he was in a hammock. That freaks me out. A lot of the kids hang in hammocks and you don't know they're there.
Yeah.
And then you walk past and you see someone move. I'm like, oh my God, it's a kid in a hammock in the tree.
Well, they're not actually hammocks. They're kid cocoons.
Oh.
So they go into the hammock and then they come out a full-fledged
No,
adult.
but these are college students.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think they come in out of debt with a job.
They come out of debt. Lucky them.
I know.
Anywho, we're doing Greeley crimes and old times, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do an old time, shall we? We shall. Vernon McKelvey. Oh, Vernon McKelvey, he's getting more involved in the farming business.
Wow.
So he's purchased a new team of mules, a team of mules.
Yeah.
His son, Macy, being of curious mind,
Oh no.
got too close to the long-eared animals. Nothing serious, but for the next few days, he may hurt where he sits.
Oh God.
Oh my! Ooh, so risque. This is what they were printing in newspapers.
The mule kicked him in the arse.
Yeah, in 1919, but that was as close as they could get to being risque. It's like, it may hurt. They probably got letters back then.
Maybe the father whacked him in the tushy. Maybe it wasn't the mule.
Or maybe it was like a To Kill a Mockingbird thing, where it was like, he was actually raped by the but it was the mule. They blamed the mule for the rape. It's like,
God.
Did you rape Miss Miella Yule?
Oh my God.
Oh, but I don't even know where the hell I'm going with that. We are talking about To Kill a Mockingbird later. City alderman. What is an alderman? Is it a law thing?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Look it up here.
I guess an alderman is older than a younger man.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
This is about okay, look it up. It's D.M. Farris is the alderman there.
What is an alderman?
And the answer is?
It's an elected member of a municipal council in England, a noble serving the king or chief officer. It says founded upon English law.
Yeah.
It's titular.
Oh, so it's a man with tits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's an alderman. He's sort of a council member of fairly high rank.
And they approve permits and stuff.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they have they're bureaucratic in
like
their
most
nature.
boring job in the universe.
That's what they do.
Okay. Well, this alderman, his name was D.M. Farris.
Did he get kicked in the ass by a mule?
No, he didn't need a mule because he parked his auto.
Uh-oh. Well, here we go. I'm going to do this. Is him driving.
That's too fast. This is 1919. He's going 20 miles an hour. Okay. And he parked his auto at the East Side garage yesterday.
This is suspense.
Oh, yeah, good. Because when he returned, he found an evil-toothed white bulldog on the front seat growling. Police finally removed it, but he chased Farris's auto for several blocks.
The weirdest thing, we were near like a factory part of Queens. They're all gentrifying, right?
Yeah,
all the factories are being gentrified into lofts. And we stop at this one red light, and there's two Rottweilers chained outside a garage. Like, no, but they're chained there. And I was like, this is like Apocalypse Now or something. I was like, oh my God.
Well, have you ever heard of an evil-toothed dog?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Evil tooth.
Right, yeah.
That's like a saber tooth.
It's like Snaggletooth, I guess.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. He's evil tooth. Probably he bites. That's what they mean.
Oh, well, yeah. But
the alderman probably put him down. I mean, the alderman put him down, I'm sure.
How do you shoot an evil-toothed dog? With your gum. That's bad. That was just terrible.
That was sad. That was so depressing.
Anywho, let's move on to more of Greeley Crimes of Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. For example, police responded to 7th Street.
You're 8th and 8th. Hold on, wait. This is the police car. This is emergency.
So somewhere while this woman was walking backwards, this guy, a heavily intoxicated man, fell into traffic while attempting to hitchhike.
I love it. Like that is the penultimate. It's like you're hitchhiking and you're so out of it, you just kind of go, hey.
Like maybe he had a really heavy thumb. Like,
Maybe he felt the gravitational forces pulling him down.
That would be it.
Sometimes because I have a rather large butt, I feel when I go to sit, the gravitational forces pull me backward from my butt.
Does it really? Do you ever feel that? Like your tush is...
Oh, yes. I
really?
feel my tush is pulling me backward when I go. When I go to sit, I feel like I don't need help.
I wonder if like old men with big prostates have that thing. Like, you know, when they have testes that are the size of...
Man that had a huge scrotum.
Who did?
Remember the scrotum? Remember the big man with the scrotum?
Oh! Yes. The English guy with the 200... Well, no, they did an English documentary. It was African-American man.
He had a baby wore sweatpants because he couldn't contain it.
Yeah, because he had a 200-pound... It was something 2-ton scrotum. Yes.
Not 2-ton.
It was...
2
stone. Or the 5 stones... What was it? 5 stone scrotum.
Isn't that the name of your band?
I used to have like a wheelbarrow in front of him. So when he walked down the street, he could push his scrotum. I'm not joking. This was real. You can probably still find it on YouTube.
Didn't he die?
Yeah, he died. Well, yeah. If your scrotum is bigger than you are,
that's true.
You're not having a ball. Oh!
You would think at some point when that ratio started to change, he would get some help.
Yeah, because it drove him nuts. All right, don't get testy. I don't
Recoup.
I don't want to get the sack here. Police responded to 18th Avenue
Hold on.
for a report of harassment. Ooh. The caller told police a roommate was saying vulgar things and sending sexually explicit text messages in Spanish. Okay. I know it's not the funny part yet, but what? Why are you looking at me like that?
Why does it matter they're in Spanish?
Well, I guess the roommate, I assume the roommate is in Spanish.
They know they're sexually
Yeah, it's supposed to go into the dictionary.
Yeah, but how do you know they're sexually suggestive?
What is... Oh, sorry. Ooh,
That was my bad, David. That's my bad
ankle. Oh, is it all right?
No.
Wait. I just knocked over one of the tape recorders. You okay? Ooh.
No, I'm not.
All right, I'll move this over here. Oh, is it all right? Just rub it. Just go get some, put some ice on it. Oh, man. The face you're making, yikes, yeah. Oof. And that was the bad ankle, of course.
And yesterday, Mommy put my knapsack on my bad knee and ankle. I'm like, you're all trying to freaking kill me.
Well, that's the thing. That's when you have a thing and you don't want people to touch you where you're hurt. Is exactly what the hurt is. Oh, yeah, I don't think it broke. It was just, I hope it didn't break. Ooh. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, David.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to vomit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Maybe we need to take a break and go on and start another. I can't believe this. I knocked over a little baby tape recorder literally right onto an ankle that was sore. You want to put some ice on it?
No. It's already whatever, and I'm not going to... I can crush that ice back over there.
God. This is our lives, ladies and gentlemen. We're living like mole rats.
I can't reach that.
Let's see, I already did our sponsors. What else can we do? You all right? Oh boy. Okay. I could play some music, except Facebook won't let me play music on here.
I'll be fine. Oh, that hurt.
Well, you're standing. So, yes, as a spousal abuse, I perhaps just broke my wife's ankle.
No, don't say that.
It didn't. It's not. It's fine. It's just going to hurt for a minute. Yeah, she's putting a cold pack on it. Oh, man. That's the sound of a cold pack popping.
Please just stop narrating it.
Well, no, I'm trying to think of other things to do.
You can go with Greeley Crimes and all times. I got it.
Yeah, all right. Oh, man. Well, I'll keep the tape recorders over there.
I'm gonna sit over here.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay, I'm good.
Now what the hell? All right, so we're talking about Nicole and told police a roommate was saying.
You're gonna have to do this down. I don't think I'm strong enough anymore.
Let me do.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, since it's poor, I'm gonna do the grogger. All right. I just pour next week. All right. So police investigated because the caller told police that a roommate was saying vulgar things and sending sexually explicit text messages in Spanish. The woman, who does not read or understand Spanish, locked herself in her room until police arrived. When they did, the roommate said, with the help of an interpreter, he was asking the woman if she would give him a ride to pick up his car.
Oh my God, that's very sexually suggestive.
Because I guess coche. Cuche. Let me see.
Yeah, but why don't you? She could go and Google Translate and say it.
Quiero coche.
She could say
tu coche.
And they would say caro.
Well, I know, but back in the day, yes.
I mean, I think it's even more weird because you could go on Google Translate and you could say those words and it would tell you what it meant.
Right.
I mean, why would she think?
I don't know why she would, but especially since she could literally look them up word by word because he's not even saying them to her; he's texting them to her.
I know.
Quiero tu carro. And
he would say, yo necesito su coche.
Maybe she looked at him and said, can you give me a ride? And she misinterpreted. I want to ride you. Quiero ride. Necesito.
Oh my God.
Back and forth. You take me back and forth for a ride.
Terrible.
Anyway, you can ride me slow. Does not have to be fast. I fill up your tank.
That's racism.
Yeah.
You don't think it's racism? If it was some white guy, she wouldn't have done it because people.
Because he would have spoken to her in English.
Yes. Well, then why does she have a roommate if she doesn't speak his language?
I know, that's the
You know, like that. Why would you?
Maybe it's like an Airbnb. You don't know who your neighbor is. The neighbor comes over.
Yeah. They're roommates. You know your roommate.
I guess. Anyway, driving forward. Oh, we have an almost awe alert.
I don't think I'm up to it.
Well, you don't have to.
For both of us.
Because you don't have to do the awe, because this is not an actual awe alert. It's an almost awe alert. Because you're going to feel like saying, "Oh," when you hear this story, right? You're going to feel like going, "Oh," but then you're going to catch yourself. Okay, ready? Police responded to Glenmere Park for a report of a sick duck.
Oh.
See? Oh, a sick duck.
Meaning
Oh.
what?
On the south side of the pond that couldn't fly.
Oh.
An officer spoke with the caller, telling her it was actually a perfectly healthy goose that was in a good place because the park provided plenty to eat. And so it's sort of like, you think it's going to be about a sick duck.
It's like duck, duck, goose.
It's actually a perfectly healthy
I
goose.
saw a wolf in that park one winter.
Yeah.
I was walking and I'm telling you it was a wolf.
Yeah.
I know what a dog looks like. And that thing, I was standing all the way at the tip of the park and I looked up and he was the size of like a mastiff, but it was like the color of a fox, and I was like, that's a wolf. And I felt like Little Red Riding Hood, and I was like, I'm getting the frick back to Gunther, and I walked back to school.
Wow, yeah.
I was afraid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still technically, you go half a mile around Greeley, you're going to still find wildlife.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to some cab driver, actually. I think the last time I went on a plane somewhere, or just went somewhere in a cab, he was telling me, oh my gosh, I live a mile from you, or maybe a couple more miles, but where we are, still deer.
Yeah, that was the cab driver as the family. He's a nice guy. I know him. He was a shuttle driver.
Yeah.
He's very nice, but he said they have a lot of wildlife. Yeah, people on farms, they have,
Yeah, but who knew? I mean, a farm is still a tended thing. You have horses because you went and bought horses. Not like, 5 horses just strolled in.
Even in Fort Collins, one of my students had a lot of property, and she had cats, and the stray foxes and coyote would eat the cat. Yeah, they can't do it.
You know what? Right in New York City, you have cats. It's just on the Lower East Side. They serve pastrami. They serve.
I passed cats.
I know you saw cats.
It looks so dirty. I was like, ugh.
It's a deli. It's not even a kosher deli. You can just go in there.
If Mom didn't have her eye surgery and weren't going 90 miles an hour in the cab, I would have got you something.
I would have appreciated it, but it wouldn't have been like going into Katz's, slipping the guy $1, and then just getting like thick cut pastrami. So the kind that gave Meg Ryan an orgasm.
Now I think you use Bitcoin.
You kind of need to.
Yeah.
You need to mortgage the house for a sandwich there. Probably not. It's probably not that different from kosher delis here.
Go there if you want.
Oh God, I want to go down. But that's the thing. If they were in Midtown, they would have to be 3 stories and taking up an entire city block. The fact that they're down in the ass end of Houston and
St. Mark's.
no, it's way past. It's Lower East. So I mean, even further.
Isn't Avenue A?
Like Broome.
It's A. I think it's A.
Yeah, like way away.
Yeah.
So it keeps it from being insanely crowded. Yeah. You still have to get on the line and wait. And it is filled. It is dirty. The dirtiness part of the taste. If they were to clean up Katz's Delicatessen, it was just basically.
And it's not kosher, right?
No.
Would they have anything I could eat except sauerkraut? Is that the only vegetable they have?
You can have a pickle.
Oh, wow.
They probably have
knish.
Salad and knish.
Yeah.
They may.
I'll go with you, baby.
I would say back in the day you could eat tuna fish, but
every time we go to the village, it makes me feel like Chrissy Hine.
Why is that?
Back on the chain gang. I feel. Yeah, I like it.
Oh yeah, but what's that? She was from Ohio.
I used to work at a needle exchange there when I was in my undergrad. There was a needle exchange somewhere down there.
You didn't work. Oh, you didn't work for the needle exchange. You were helping.
I was gonna do needle exchange.
Oh God.
Yeah, like where you give me.
No, I understand what that is, and it stops HIV and it stops. It doesn't stop drug addiction.
No, but it gives people good things to do.
Why can I figure out a way to do this without needles? Like
Because they get a quick high. It's a quick high.
So they can't wait like 10 minutes?
It's like I feel when you drop the tape recorder on my ankle. It's that quick feeling of shearing.
So if you have a nasal spray, I mean, how long does a nasal spray take to
You
work?
think some guy in a back alley who's cutting drugs is going to make a nasal spray? That's a lot of work.
You know, it's more work to tie off an arm, roll up a sleeve, jab the needle in the arm, wipe it away with alcohol. I mean,
They don't
that's a
wipe
lot.
it away with alcohol. And drug addicts don't.
So that's the problem. That's why you need clean needles.
Yes.
But I think it's quicker to just, hey, lift your head back. Boom, there's your cocaine. There's your meth.
Maybe they snort cocaine that way.
Yeah. Or a little slower acting but longer lasting meth and coke suppositories.
A patch. They do fentanyl
Yeah.
patch.
No, with a tushy, you have the guy bend
Why
over
would you put it up your butt?
because it could stay there for like hours.
Yeah, but why? It would
Slow
burn your
release.
hiney. It would burn your hiney.
All these people are taking pills all day for opioids. Imagine if you just took one a day, you went in there like boop, and it's
They have patches like that. Yeah.
like Rush Limbaugh. He gets one and boom, and it stays. If he's on the air for 3, 4, 5 hours, he doesn't have to take pills. He's sitting on what he needs.
That's disgusting. What happens if you poop it out?
Oh,
You got to do poo-poos.
I didn't think of that. Huh. All right, scientists who are watching, it's on you to figure out, how to make a proper suppository that will stay. You're right. Well, how long do people keep those things in them?
Until they disintegrate.
So how long does that normally take? Like a glycerin
It
thing.
probably depends on the person's tushy. I don't know.
Huh.
I'll look it up. Where's my phone?
Or, I suppose, a Tory.
Oh, no.
We're doing Dave's Gone By the way, with my wife's broken ankle and me here.
Don't say that.
Dave,
Don't
it's not
wish
broken,
it,
it's fine.
Don't wish it on me.
I'm not wishing, God
You're
forbid.
evil.
Uh,
How long does a suppository take to dissolve?
and the answer is...
If you lie down 5 minutes, you keep them in your rectum for 15 to 30.
Oh, that's not a long... Yeah, okay. Huh.
That's
Okay.
from the Summit Rectal Group.
Well, they should do that. They should do that with... Like, mountain climbers should do that with food.
Why?
Just in case, say, they run out of food, or there's a bear...
It says
That eats-
avoid handling the suppository too long; it'll melt in your hand.
Ah! Imagine, no, M&M's!
And this one says put it as far back in your rectum as possible.
Oh, God. How far back is possible?
I cannot keep the canasta in my rectum.
What?
I don't know. This person says they can't keep I cannot keep canasta in my rectum.
Oh, canasta is like a card game. It's like, that would be a very, very gay party right there, having canasta in your rectum.
The rectal enema liquid may darken.
Oh!
Oh.
Well, yeah, if it's going out.
This is horrible. This is for IBS.
Oh,
Types
yeah.
of
Well,
suppositories here.
wow.
Oh.
We're doing suppositions on Dave's
Somebody
Gone.
did a PowerPoint about the types of suppositories. You know, we live in a sick world where somebody takes the time to do PowerPoint about not only that, but they post it online.
Yeah.
It's a sad world.
Sad world. All the people with suppositories, really gory. Yeah, anyway. Here's another story.
Full of glory.
Glory?
Full of
No,
glory.
and they're full of glory. And I find it kind of painful. And oh, God. I don't even want to go there.
Sad.
It's a sad
I
world.
must be delusional from my own pain.
But is it really? I mean,
Yeah.
it's more frozen now than anything else.
No, trust me. I know the difference between cold and pain. I'm not an idiot. Like, oh, something bad. No, what it is. Cold, pain, no.
Police responded to 31st Street Road.
Hold on. I can try to do this in my condition.
For a man who believed his neighbors had cut his telephone wires and were spying on him through his TV.
I feel bad for people who are paranoid. That's
What?
messed up.
Yeah, his favorite channel is
What?
Netflix.
That's sad. No, I feel bad. It's really, when you're that ill, it's sad. When you're paranoid like that, that's very upsetting.
Yeah, well,
You know, imagine you feel constantly like CIA or somebody, or like people are doing things to you. That's a horrible way to live.
well, the irony is now that we all know we are being watched all the time.
And even on the airplanes.
Someone even posted on Facebook today that Google like the next day told him how many miles he drove the day before. I was like, how does Google know this?
Google is God.
Yeah. So it's not even paranoia anymore. We just accept the fact that Facebook, Google, Amazon, Alexa, what were the other things?
Oh, like, no, she tries to sell you stuff. She's like a prostitute.
Yeah. But I mean, everything about us is completely, every keystroke on our computers,
it's not like England where there are cameras and, like if they
there are traffic cams everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was the one thing I still keep coming back to this PTSD moment I had when when a Subway employee assaulted me, essentially, and it was on a platform, and I happen to have a witness. But, when I was talking to the people and trying to get some redress from this guy who punched me.
Wow, this was years ago, right?
Yeah, not that many years ago, just a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I was telling them, and talking to their lawyers, and I said, well, this is on the Subway platform. Where's your camera? They don't have cameras.
Wow,
well,
now they probably do.
If I had gotten a lawyer, they would have had a camera.
I'm sure.
You're telling me that you don't have even closed-circuit monitored cameras on your Subway platforms on West 44th Street. You're telling me this.
Where was I? I was somewhere. Wasn't it the doctor's office? Even the lobbies of buildings, there were cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are things you anticipate.
Yeah.
But when you walk out, there's a satellite. You go outside on the street.
And a lot of times it'll say when you enter this building, or cameras are in use, closed circuit.
But even the places that you don't. Yeah, Vladimir Putin. If we walk outside our house right now, Vladimir Putin could go see us walking down the street if he wanted to. We're lucky. We're happy he doesn't want it. If we make a phone call, since they're searching for the next Bin Laden, they're gonna if they wanted to know what we were saying on the telephone, they could.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is depressing.
It is depressing. I mean, but we're talking about paranoia, and now we just sort of accept the truth.
But what did the police find? Was it true?
No, I don't think this particular person, the government is doing all this, and these big businesses are doing it. This guy's neighbor is not cutting his phone wires and spying on him through his TV.
Maybe the neighbor was just doing lawn work.
That could be it. It's one of those lawnmowers with cameras. Yeah.
Maybe his neighbor had a drone.
Actually, what is a lawnmower's favorite TV station?
What?
The Home Chopping Network. Oh, yeah, baby, I'm on.
You're really on, yeah.
I'm on it like Donkey Kong, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
Oh, ooh.
What?
Now playing at the Rex Theater in downtown Greeley. It's The Fighting Roosevelts.
What?
It's an authorized film version of the life and works of Colonel Theodore Roosevelt. Oh, well, he had already been president by then, but this is back when he was just a colonel. Children 10 cents, adults 20 cents.
It's not bad.
To see something about the life of the president, right?
And hogs and cattle free.
Well, not only that, 10 cents for adults, 10 cents for kids, 20 cents for adults, plus war tax.
You have to pay, yeah.
In 1919.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you vote for something for a particular instance. Like, we need a war tax during the war, and then it's still there a year after the war's over.
It's like the VAT, right?
Yeah. And gee, we needed this money to fix the roads. All right, we fixed the roads. We'll need more money to fix roads soon. Let's keep asking for more money.
Wow.
But here's the deal. So that's the Roosevelt film.
Okay.
At the Sterling Theater in Greeley,
what?
The Warrior, starring Douglas Fairbanks.
Ooh, he's dreamy.
It covers the comic side of war.
You can watch both of them. That'd be good.
Well, here's the deal. The Roosevelt film, 10 cents for kids, 20 cents for adults.
Yeah.
The Douglas Fairbanks movie, 11 cents for kids, 22 cents for adults. So Douglas Fairbanks is actually more of a star than Theodore Roosevelt.
Wow.
Which is kind of
people
cool.
like comedy. It gets them, happy.
But I just love the way they put it. It covers the comic side of war. And this was only a year after the end of World War I. First time they were being gassed in trenches.
Well, my uncle was a soldier.
Yeah.
And he liberated people from the camps,
Yeah.
And he used to like that cartoon Sad Sack, and which was all about, and that it made a lot of, it took a lot of some comedy and levity, right?
Yeah.
About the stuff. He liked that so much. He had books of it. Like in books of that comic, yeah.
Well, if only your uncle had liberated me from Ocean Parkway Jewish Day Camp.
He could have, yeah. He could have.
I mean, it was so miserable.
Aww.
3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was desperate to go home.
You should have faked an allergy.
That's a camp that needed liberation, let me tell you.
That's right.
Oh, by the way, we have, remember earlier we had an almost awe alert about the sick duck that wasn't sick?
Before you hurt me.
Yes.
That was pre-hurt.
She will never let me live this down. I accidentally...
and I saw you with the gleam in your eye. Push it.
Yeah. I intentionally lifted my paper to make sure it was like a Rube Goldberg contraption. Yes. Anyway, well, I say this to you.
Yeah, so what?
This is not an almost awe alert. This is the opposite of an awe alert.
What's that?
This means that
Yeah.
it's like, this chills your blood. This freezes your shit when you hear about this. Okay, so not an awe alert. This is the other kind.
Okay.
A real live Indian
Oh, God.
will preach at Trinity Church this Sunday. Okay?
Wow.
1919. The Reverend Sherman Coolidge is a full-blooded Arapaho
Wow.
who, as a small boy, was picked up and adopted by General Coolidge after an Indian battle.
You know what that means? After they massacred his family, somebody took him. So he was basically abducted from his own people after they slaughtered his people.
Yeah. And that is why that's the opposite of an awe alert.
That's a very disturbing.
That's the kind of thing they would print in 1919 for
That's disturbing.
Yeah. Wonder if there's still Coolidges who are descended.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to let you know that an odd stranger was arrested last night after he was found hiding inside the ladies' room at the train depot.
Was it from Vance Fulkerson?
No, he wouldn't be in the ladies' room, huh?
Oh, that's true.
This odd stranger had a pack of strange items
Oh, no.
weighing 75 pounds, and he also had a gun. Arrested on charges of carrying a concealed weapon, the man what did the police think he was, babe?
Transvestite.
No. Remember, this is 100 years ago. He may have been a German spy.
Could be.
But again, why is all this happening the year after the war ended?
Because they believe people infiltrate into the common society, right?
Oh, I guess.
So they're afraid that all the Germans kind of. It's like during the concentration camp, during the liberation of the camp, some of the officers pretended they were. They would.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely. It's funny. We just showed a movie at our local library called Operation Finale about the capturing of not Mengele, of Eichmann, Adolf Eichmann, where he was squirreled off, disguised, and sent to Argentina, and they had to get him out of Argentina.
Yes.
So
because there are no Nazis in Argentina.
No, never.
No,
Absolutely not.
Of course not.
I don't even know if they have Klansmen there. No, I just
That's right.
don't even know what that means.
All right, yeah.
And then, this is exciting. Metaphysical alert. We haven't had one of these. This is brand new. We have these different alerts, of course. We have the awe alert, we have the Fort Lupton alert, we have the chicken alert and hobo alert. This is a metaphysical alert. What would be an appropriate sound for a metaphysical alert?
It would be one hand clapping.
Here we go. Metaphysical alert. Metaphysical alert. Metaphysical alert, ladies and gentlemen, on Greeley Crimes at All Times. Police responded to a hotel on 8th Street.
Uh-oh. I'm ready.
But this is magnificent. For a report of 3 people who think they're the same person. Isn't that like mind-blowing?
How could they? Well, probably because they all said they have the same name.
Yeah.
To the hotel clerk.
But all of them think that they are the same person.
Well, they probably all went into the hotel under the same name. That's a problem.
Wouldn't it be cool if, I don't know if this has ever happened, because we were reading about Chang and Eng last week and the Siamese twins and Daisy and Violet Hilton. Have there ever been Siamese triplets? We look alike, we think alike, and hate each other very much. If there were actual Siamese triplets, like 3 people joined in a certain way, That'd be so excellent. They would actually have a good use for the 3-bag of roast on the Long Island Railroad.
Wow.
It's like, save that for us. We need that.
Yeah, I saw a guy coming home. He had like gym equipment. He had like volleyball. People just take up space. I had a stand coming home last night.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm 50 years old. Someone give me a freaking seat.
9 o'clock in the 9:15 train.
Yes.
To
Yes. And I
on
ran.
the Far Rockaway
I
line.
ran because it was like 9/11 when I got to the
9/11. That's terrible.
No, and I hauled it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm saying because if you don't make the 9:15, you have to wait till the 10:08.
Yeah,
But 9:15, and you would figure it's after. Actually, don't tell the Long Island Railroad. It's so crowded they'll probably think, oh, it still must be peak. Let's charge $12 a fucking ride for it.
I know.
Yeah, no, but it's literally you would figure at 9 o'clock you could get a seat on a commuter rail.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. Good luck.
No, and I followed this young couple going down because it was too crowded in the back, and I got to a place where I could at least stand in the vestibule, but that was full.
Yeah.
But there were some places it was too crowded, so I followed the couple.
Yeah. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
I know. And people were going both ways thinking that they'd find seats, and there were seats nowhere.
Yeah. You have that moment where you're hoping, because trains feel really long, with 12 or 14 cars. You keep walking, and then you start seeing the people walking in your direction.
And you're like, yeah,
and it's like, shit, this is not going to happen.
I know.
Yeah. This is why I keep saying, build the double-deckers, build.
I was like, I'm an old lady, I need a seat.
Anyway, we're doing Greeley. Oh my God, it's 10:01 in the morning, Mountain Time. No, sorry, 10:01 in the morning, Eastern Time. Here in the Daverhood. It's 8 o'clock Mountain Time, live on this Saturday, March 9th, 2018. It's the 688th episode of Dave's Gone By. Now, the Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. We're calling this one Daylighted to See You, because we're going to be changing our clocks in a few hours. Or go ahead and change it now. It'll make the show seem even longer. Kind of cool. But we got a little more time for Greeley Crimes and Old Times, because I do have an Elsewhere as well that I want to get to. Oh, a very big, beautiful Elsewhere. So, and we have like a backlog of, because like 10 or 15 more minutes of this, and I'll let you go, and they can check your
hobble to urgent care.
Off. Yes.
Yeah.
Police!
I might need a lot of massaging.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I hear you. Yes, I will.
Yeah, right.
I drop the thing on you.
But
I will
not
massage
the
your
bad
foot.
Kind, the good kind.
Oh, damn.
Not the lazy man's kind.
Yeah. For Joyce, a massage with a happy ending is I actually do her toes.
That's disgusting.
How is it disgusting? How is my touching your toes disgusting?
Look at this one.
If I suck on your toes, that's a little disgusting. For me! No, I'm kidding. What?
We'll have to wrap him in bacon, you little piggy.
Actually, if women would do that, if they would coat their toes with bacon grease, right?
Or like the dog, I'll just put chocolate bar, you could lick it off.
Men would do that. Whipped cream? I get why people do the whipped cream.
That's why
thing.
they do it for them.
Yeah, for the happier places that men would lick anyway. But imagine if women had, which you don't, but if women had a toe fetish, and a man was like, you just wore shoes all day. I don't want to. But you put something down there that a man would be into, like
liverwurst.
Put your feet in, like, just stand on prime rib for about 10 minutes, and then a man would be like, I don't really, but I think I'll do this.
That's disgusting.
No. Anywho, what are we doing here? Greeley Crimes at All Times. That's what we're doing. Let's see. We have so many different alerts right now. This is you're a redneck alert. You know you're a redneck alert.
Yeah.
When police responded to First Street to help a man get a cat out of his vent and to the underpart of his mobile home.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. If you're trying to get your cat under your mobile home, you are probably a redneck, ladies and gentlemen. And this, by the way, is recent. This was like a week ago in Greeley, Colorado.
Yeah, but at least a mobile home you own. You see, so I can see why some people do it, because you own it.
Oh yeah. Oh,
and I think that's like probably it's like a tiny home.
But the thing is, I wouldn't want to live in a mobile home if I could go somewhere in it, leave the wheels on.
Yeah, I think people do.
And then just go somewhere and park it.
I think people do.
Live in the parking lot of the school.
I think people do.
Man, I'm sure. Yeah, they must. I wonder,
like,
if they were to
philosophy
collect.
professor, yeah.
There's one professor at our university
Yes.
who lives in a mobile home.
Yes.
It's not even a fucking camper trailer.
It's a camper with like a hatchback.
Yeah.
Or something.
The man is living in about 10 feet of space within this square feet
Yeah.
of space
give or
in his
take,
entire camper thing. And he lives, he parks in the back of the parking lot of the school by the stadium. And that's where he is. That's where he is all the time when he's not driving around and going or teaching or going other places. God bless him. It's the way he wants to live.
When he's not on Tinder.
Yeah. And when he's not bringing his urine jugs
When he's
to
not on
spill
Tinder.
Well, yeah. Well, he's probably got a mattress up. He must have a mattress up there for
I
fun.
hope, yeah.
But where was I going with it? And he
Saving money?
He can park. He can drive where he wants to.
It's like a tiny house, yeah.
What I'm saying is, you have pointed out that he never seems to have the parking sticker
Yeah.
on the window of his car,
Yeah.
which you need. You can park.
Anywhere.
You have to pay for it every year.
No, but if they didn't, they'd put a ticket on there.
Right.
There's no ticket.
So he never gets a ticket, but he never has a sticker. He probably is so far in arrears
No, I'm sure
of paying his
dock
parking
paycheck.
fees. If he pays his
No,
parking fees, we would be out
I'm
of
sure
debt.
they dock his paycheck.
You think? Maybe. But still, I think that people know not to mess with his camper or not to ticket
Because
it.
it smells like cat pee
So do I.
and disappointment.
It smells of shame.
Yes, it smells of shame and loss and regret.
Hey, at least unlike some other people at UNC, he still has a job.
How do we know?
Yeah, maybe
We
they'll
don't
give him
know.
a
But I wonder if they're going to buy out people, so people like him who've been there over
Yeah.
15
Oh, yeah.
years have that option.
They'll give him a very nice, he's been there 20 years, so they'll give him a very nice package. It's like, we'll buy you a seat cover.
No, I think they'll buy him a golden pea bucket.
A new horn.
A golden pea bucket. They'll give him an insulated pea bucket.
No, even better. Those pine tree deodorizers? his will be spangled. Yeah.
Fancy.
Are you ready to go elsewhere?
I am. I'm ready to
go to the
I need
hospital.
some.
Let me look at it. Let me see
No,
how
I'm
it is.
fine. I'm gonna
It's
just
fine.
get some tea. I mean, it hurts. It's like when something's injured and people keep dropping stuff on it. It's not good.
It's not good, yes.
No.
But we need to go elsewhere for this. Since we were talking about suppositories before.
Oh.
Now, one of the things we do on Greeley Crimes and Old
You didn't
Times.
invite- wait. Oh, you didn't. You don't want to have calling potato on there.
We don't have the telephone thing.
Oh,
But
but you know how Potato has his little call center.
oh,
Later on, you
let's
have,
do-
you
yeah,
have to show them later on how Potato's doing the call center stuff.
yeah. I think that the headset is on that potato.
Yeah, I can't.
Do you want, we can do it now if you want. I'll get it for a
No,
moment.
it's okay.
Okay. Here, even though all our stories are about Greeley, Colorado, and Weld County from Greeley Crimes and Old Times, we kind of like to go a little outside the field. We also like to occasionally have a story that isn't from that area, that could be from any other part of the world. And today, our story is a science story from newscientist.com. And this was sent to us.
Listen, our friend hung out with 8 Nobel laureates, and you're doing newsciences.com.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is our life.
Our other friends sent us this story. Our friends from Greeley alerted me
Oh, is that
to this story,
groundhog?
knowing that I would appreciate this.
Oh,
Yeah, it is
God.
our groundhog friends.
It has to do with poo-poo?
Yes. Animal with an anus
Oh, no.
that comes and goes
How can that be?
could reveal how ours evolved. This is a story by
How
Michael
does it- Where
LePage.
does it go and how does it go?
That's the thing. This is a jellyfish-like creature.
Then it's not a mammal.
No, nobody says it's a mammal, but I guess is a jellyfish an animal?
Yeah, but how do they know it has an anus?
Well, here's the deal. It has a neat trick that makes it unique among
I would
animals.
imagine, yeah.
Its anus
Oh, God, help us.
forms only when it needs to defecate.
That's brilliant. Isn't that brilliant?
That's God working. And then
That
it
is
disappears
God.
without a trace. So when it needs
It's
to poop,
just like a pore.
yeah, it creates an anus, it does its business, and then whoosh, goes away. This is a quote here.
That's problematic.
This is a really spectacular finding, says Sidney Tam of the Marine Biological
Oh, I
Laboratory.
need to put in the U-curve. I didn't put that in the
Oh.
article.
Okay. Don't know what you're... But check this out.
I'm listening.
Where do you think this biologist's lab is? This man who is discovering things
In something
about an
that
anus.
sounds like poop. Places like poop. I don't know.
Well,
Poopisture.
Think more of the actual, not what's coming out, but
Shitisture?
what it is. Not what's,
Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
Honest to God, this man's lab is in Woods Hole, Massachusetts.
Here you go.
This is where he's looking at jellyfish.
I think that's where, isn't that where Watson and Crick have their...
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think Nihal, our friend probably was there, or another friend was there.
So this is the guy who made the discovery, Sidney Tam. He said, there is no documentation of a transient anus in any other animals that I know of.
Where, oh, where has my anus gone?
Oh.
Where can it be? I have to go. I don't know where it is. It has to form in me.
Oh,
where is my anus gone? Oh, where can it be?
this is actually a hobo alert because it's a transient anus. When you think about it.
I'm going to have to get up.
Well, and let me finish this elsewhere.
Let's do the elsewhere.
Tam thinks the discovery might represent an intermediate stage of evolution.
What does that mean? Like,
well, in some simple animals, such as jellyfish, the gut has only one opening. This functions in some jellyfish as both the mouth and the anus.
Dude, I'm going to be sick.
And in certain gay people in the village.
I'm going to be sick.
All right, I'll
be back.
All right. No, I need to, come on, let me finish the jellyfish. This is so exciting for me. It's a jellyfish with a transient anus.
I gotta get up.
Oh, all right, okay. But you haven't heard the whole story. Can you stand? Are you good? Okay. She's hobbling. She's all right. And now she has to climb over a gate because we have a gate here so the dog won't get out. I think she's okay. God willing, she's okay. Anyway, we've been doing Greeley Crimes in Old Times here on the Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream. Let me finish the wonderful news here about finding a jellyfish where the anus comes out when the jellyfish needs it and disappears when it doesn't. This is absolutely true. Since 1850, scientists have known that something called comb jellies, which kind of resemble jellyfish, but they're actually stenophores. That's their name, stenophores. I guess they belong to the stenopool. They have a through gut with a separate mouth and anus, and some even have more than one anus. Wow. But they're just a bunch of assholes. Still, this is, and now in the story, when it was printed in this column at newscientist.com, the subhead, this is beautiful. The headline was, "Animal with an anus that comes and goes could reveal how ours evolved." And then subhead is "Missing Anus." Missing anus is like the sub-headline on this story, which is, by the way, missing anus is the answer to the question, how does a gay prisoner spend his time in solitary confinement? Okay. Anyway, but when Sidney Tam studied the warty comb jelly, he could not find its anus. Only when the animals are actually defecating does a tiny opening appear, and then it disappears again straight afterwards. Says Tam, quote, "It is not visible when the animal is not pooping, not even under a microscope. In other words, there's no permanent connection between the gut and the rear of the body. Instead, as waste accumulates, part of the gut balloons out till it touches the epidermis, the outer layer. The gut then fuses with the epidermis, forming an anal opening. Once excretion is complete, the process is reversed and the anus vanishes," which is not a Hitchcock movie that you want to watch. Tam thinks that this process of the gut bulging and fusing is how the anus evolved in the first place. And today, the transient anus may be unique to the warty comb jelly. Tam is now looking at other species of comb jelly, but so far, they appear to all have permanent anuses. But it's so interesting that, like, I guess the new wave in science and physics and everything else is stuff that appears to be true sometimes isn't always true. Isn't that thing that they discovered like 30 or 40 years ago where particles behave in a certain way when you're looking at them and then they behave kind of differently when you're not? So perception is actually defining the way those things... Is that particle physics? Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the disappearing. This is an unbelievable thing. It's an anus that comes and goes. It's kind of like the guy in the van or the mobile home. Yeah. Sometimes the mobile home needs to park and you live there and you cook and you dump out your cat litter and your pee.
Sure.
And other times, the mobile home vanishes. Now there are anuses that do this.
That's very.
You don't seem thrilled by
It's
this.
disturbing to me. I'm trying to focus on my non-pain.
All right. Well, let's do one or two more Greeley crimes and old times, and I'll move on to Inside Broadway.
I'm praying to the orb.
Praying the orb for healing.
Let me
Yeah.
call.
Actually, this is important. Potato.
I need to call Potato about my health
The
insurance.
Potato mans the hotline here because he's old enough to have a job.
Potato.
Wait, I'll do. You
Okay,
can hear the
I'm calling.
Potato.
Hello, is this Potato?
Oh, hi, Potato. Yes, I have a question about ketchup.
No. He's the he is the call person. I'm calling about the question.
Right.
So you answer.
Oh, but you're usually the one who is.
Okay, then
yeah.
But
So
I have
what?
a complaint. You're Potato.
I'm Potato.
Yeah, I'm calling.
Because you usually. Okay.
Hello, Potato.
Ring, ring. Hi.
Is this the Potato hotline?
Yes. Hi.
I want to report my spouse for dropping a tape recorder on my ankle.
Do you see this as abusive, ma'am?
Is it covered by my insurance?
No, but there's a cure.
What
I
is
can
it?
give you a cure.
Can I have a cure, Potato?
Yes. Take a packet of ketchup, but don't use the
Like,
good
don't
stuff.
you want to put me on hold?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, so, may I please put you on hold for a
Yes.
moment? La,
They
la,
always
la.
do. Do you know the ways to San Jose is the whole
Yes, sir. I don't know why that's their
I
whole
think it's
music.
the only song they know. You know, the only non-potato.
Joyce was doing this
song.
all day yesterday, like having potato.
So give it to me because I want to go make
Oh,
tea. And
give
I'll
it to
feel
you.
better.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me
Yes.
give you one more Greeley crime and old time for this Saturday, March 9th, 2019. How about police responded to 11th Avenue for a man, and this wasn't me, by the way. I wasn't anywhere near this. For a man walking down the street without any pants or underwear on.
Oh,
The caller
yes.
clarified
Yes.
that the man had pants and underwear,
Oh, good.
but they were located around his ankles
Oh, that's not good.
as he shuffled westbound around the intersection.
I like that he shoveled westbound. Westward ho!
But I also like this idea of it's sort of the letter of the law. Well, yeah.
Isn't that a sketch that Tim Conway used to do? Where he
Oh,
used to shuffle with his.
yeah, but his pants stayed on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Michael
Hmm.
Grossberg.
But I am visualizing there was one where his pants probably came down,
Yes, yes.
and he had like his
And he
boxers.
kept, it was
Yeah.
like Mrs. Hutton
Mrs. Tut. Wait, he was
Oh,
Mr.
Miss-
Tutball. She was Mrs. Wiggins.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Here's your drink, honey.
Thank you, babe. But it's just this idea of you can be arrested for not wearing pants and underwear,
Mhm.
but he was. He just wasn't
No, but
wearing
you
them in
have-
a place where
you
you
can't
need
expose
them.
your genitals. That's like a whole thing too, right?
Mm.
You can't do that.
Thank you. I needed that. Mm.
No, sure.
So, that, my friends, was Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Squiggly doo. Squiggly diddly boo. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here we are doing the 688th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. So, and always, of course, great to have so many people join us. So many, what we call them, Davers?
I don't know. I'm livid with the pain.
Friends and Davers.
You
Yeah.
want your cake?
No, I'll have it later.
Okay, I'm gonna go down.
Why don't you have some cake? It's
I
good.
gotta go write my abstract.
Oh, okay. So thank you so much for joining me. Love you, sweetie. Are you okay?
Yeah. Listen, I won't die. It takes a lot more than that to kill me.
That's right. That's right. But I keep trying, folks. Just
Hope
kidding.
your doggy's got the thing on.
Oh, our dog has a cloak on him like James Brown at the
I
moment.
need to get let's give him his, where's the rest of his apples? Oh, there, here.
Yeah, I moved it over there. So, anyway, it is about 20 after 10 in the morning Eastern Time here in Long Island, or on Long Island. It's 8:19 in Greeley, Colorado, and various times all over the country where you are watching the Dave's Gone By program. So, here's the deal. We've done Greeley Crimes and Old Times. I kind of bantered a bit with my wife to start the show. Now we have other things to do. on the show. We've got a Saturday Segue coming. We also have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. We'll also, and I've warned you about this, we'll have Storytime where we talk about New Jersey. I apologize, but yes, New Jersey will be part of this program like it was last week. But before we get to all of that, you know that I've been a theater critic for about 30-odd years, some of them odder than others. I've also been a playwright and an actor and a theater journalist for a bunch of that time, and I just love the theater. I love talking about it and sharing it with you on a segment called Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Inside Broadway we go every week here, just to give you a little bit of Broadway news, because it's exciting to me to talk about the theater, to talk about Broadway. And by the way, it's also exciting for me to see all the people who tune in to this program every week, including Mary and Deborah and Peter and Neil. Neil, our friend of the Daverhood, who is always doing concerts and things like 500 years of rock and roll, or the Broadway thing that he brings all around the country. You should definitely see it. So Neil, yay, and thanks for Alexander for tuning in, and Michael and Francis and all the folks that we said hi to earlier on. It's really great to see you. So let's talk a little bit of Broadway, and let's have, speaking of people who get hurt, really hurt, lousy news on Broadway this week. Andrea Martin, the beloved, funny comedian actress, Andrea Martin, she's okay, but not well enough to be in the Broadway show she was going to be in. She was going to co-star with Nathan Lane in a new play called Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus. It was going to be this really wild, funny, dark comedy. If you know Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus, bad stuff happens in there in almost a campy, funny way already. And now they're raising that even one level. Plus, she was going to go into it, and it was going to start previews this week, or may have already started previews, in fact. But Andrea Martin broke 4 ribs in an accident, and she's had to bow out of the show. Now, you know Andrea Martin. She was in the Hedwig and the Angry Inch movie. She, of course, was best known and will forever be beloved for her work in Second City Television. And she was, let's see, I think she was in The Young Frankenstein Broadway musical, the one that Mel Brooks won't give Cloris Leachman because she was supposedly too old to do it. So they got Andrea Martin. I mean, Andrea Martin, she's wonderful, but she won't be on Broadway in Gary, sequel to Titus Andronicus. Instead, a very wonderful actress and a really nice lady, Christine Nielsen, is going to take that role. The show delayed its previews a little bit, but it has not changed its opening date. It was still open on April 11th on Broadway. The author is Taylor Mack, and the director is the great George C. Wolfe. So we'll see how Gary shapes up with Andrea Martin out of it. Want to let you know that, yeah, it's March. That means that we've come out of the freeze of January and February. I'm not talking weather-wise. I'm talking that we haven't had a Broadway show opening since mid-January. And it's been a few weeks. Well, the first, that hint of the spring onslaught, of the spring Broadway season is upon us, because this week, tomorrow night, opening on Broadway at the Lyceum Theater, a new musical called Be More Chill. It features a score by an up-and-coming Broadway composer named Joe Iconis. He's done a lot of off-Broadway stuff and concert stuff and things at Joe's Pub, but this is his first, big Broadway show. It's called Be More Chill. It has a book by Joe, I might be mispronouncing this, Trax or Truss. I just don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry about that. And it's a sci-fi thriller kind of role. They're saying it kind of has elements of Dear Evan Hansen meets Little Shop of Horrors. So it's a real weird, dark comic thing. And the tagline, the plot, is supposedly, what would it be like if you could take a pill, speaking of pills and suppositories, but if you could take a pill in the morning and make your day absolutely wonderful, even if you're a loser. I think that's the basic plot of Be More Chill. The show played off-Broadway last year and became something of a sensation downtown. So now we're going to see if Be More Chill can grab a big Broadway audience for this new up-and-coming composer, Joe Iconis. It's Be More Chill opening tomorrow at the Lyceum Theater, and on our show next week, we'll be back and tell you what the critics thought of it. And hopefully I'll get to see it in a couple of weeks and let you know what I thought of it as well. Now, speaking of letting you know what I thought of something, I saw this a couple of weeks ago and haven't had a chance until now to discuss it and talk about it and review it. It is the Broadway appearance of a story that has been beloved in America since 1960 or even a little earlier. It is, of course, the Harper Lee classic, To Kill a Mockingbird. There it is. There's the playbill for it. To Kill a Mockingbird. So Aaron Sorkin, whom you all know, of course, from The West Wing and The Social Network, very, very talented writer. And with a real way of characters and dialogue, he was given the assignment by producer Scott Rudin to adapt To Kill a Mockingbird into a Broadway play. And at first he said, no way! Why would I take maybe the most famous and beloved novel in American literature, and not to mention, for at least in my case, the most beloved, most profoundly beautiful movie in all of American film, and then adapt it? What do I do? And Rudin said, find a way. So Aaron Sorkin did, and he found a different way through it, and still telling the same story, hewing in some ways closer to the book than to the film. And he did it basically because there had already been a To Kill a Mockingbird play done. And we talked about this last week by Christopher Sergel. But that was really geared towards junior high school and high school students. It was almost more of a young adult's version of the material because it was so popular material. And instead of just doing the movie, why not have it produced? And what happened was the Sergel version, which I've never seen, was apparently pretty good. And good enough that even adults wanted to go see it too. So the Sergel To Kill a Mockingbird has been done thousands of times in small theaters, community theaters, school and college theaters all over the country for years, since like 1990. And then, as we talked about on our previous program, it became a big cause celeb 2 weeks ago, because in producing this different new adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird, the producer said to the Harper Lee estate, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to bring this to Broadway. I've got Aaron Sorkin on board. There's going to be could be a big thing. I mean, any show can flop, but this could be a real thing in the moneymaker. But in our contract together, you have to promise that no other production of To Kill a Mockingbird can go on within a 25-mile radius of a big city. Because not only do we want to bring this to Broadway, but it will tour. And we don't want people going and confusing the old To Kill a Mockingbird with a new one, or choosing to go to a different one, and so forth. And so the Harper Lee estate agreed, which meant that all these small theaters that had booked the old To Kill a Mockingbird for their theaters, they had to suddenly stop rehearsing. They had to take it off their season schedule. It caused a lot of problems and a lot of anger in the small theater and in the regional and community theater community, because suddenly they were thrown for a loop by the Harper Lee estate that pulled the rights that they had paid for and were entitled to. And eventually, Rudin said to them to avoid all this bad publicity he was getting and a feared boycott of his plays on Broadway, the things that he was producing, he said, okay, tell you what, you can do To Kill a Mockingbird, especially if you're already about to rehearse it or you've got the sets and the costumes in place, but you have to do the Aaron Sorkin one. You don't do the Sergel one because you don't have the rights to it anymore, but we'll allow you to do our To Kill a Mockingbird, even though it's still on Broadway, still a very hot ticket there. And that soothed a lot of feathers, but he's still getting sued. This week, they're doing like a $500,000 lawsuit from the Christopher Sergel estate, saying you're taking money still out of my life. Christopher Sergel III now controls the rights to his grandfather's play, which makes probably tens of thousands of dollars a year in all the productions that it gets. And he's saying, it was making all this money. We had these rights, they had all these productions going on, and now you're just pulling the plug out of nowhere? I'm suing you, Scott Rudin. So this is not yet over by any stretch of the imagination. So all this is backstory. All this is what's been going on with To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway and away from Broadway. But I got to see the Broadway To Kill a Mockingbird a couple of weeks ago, starring Jeff Daniels as Atticus Finch, Celia Keenan-Bolger as Scout, Will Pullen as Jem. And here's what I thought of it. So it's impossible for me. This is one of those cases where it really is impossible for me to fully appreciate a new iteration of something that I know all too well. I felt a little bit like that, but just a little bit with Spamalot, when Eric Idle adapted Monty Python and the Holy Grail into a Broadway musical, but it was so incredibly different and had so little to do with, maybe 30% of Spamalot actually was connected to Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So I could take Spamalot on its own terms. And I've enjoyed Spamalot. I saw it on tour. I saw it in New York on Broadway and had a good time with it. It will never replace, in my estimation, the incredible joy I had when I was a teenager seeing Monty Python and the Holy Grail first in the movie theater and then on TV, and just being blown away by it. And it's become part of my zeitgeist, that film. So no matter how good Spamalot was, and it was pretty good, it will never have that moment of the first time you see the Black Knight getting his limbs hacked off, and you're not expecting it. It's just like, one of the most profound laughs I've ever had in my entire life. Well, I feel that way as well with To Kill a Mockingbird. I feel that way of having read the book. I like the book. It's not as if the book made any great profound impression upon me when I read it in my teens or even when I read it a few years ago. And I haven't read the prequel, Ghost Set a Watchman. It's a great book, fine. The movie, however, which I watched for the first time back in, I guess it was junior high school, they showed it to us, where I didn't really fully appreciate it. I was too young. We all were, but on some level we also got it. And then coming to it, 5 years later, 10 years later, and rewatching it every few years, and realizing that for me, it's the most profound and beautiful American film ever made. Robert Mulligan, just no one's going to put him in a directorial category with people like Orson Welles and Spielberg, and yet for me, even Citizen Kane does not approach the level that To Kill a Mockingbird does. It's just, I can't watch it without crying 5 times during the film. It's that connected to me. And I'm actually a little pissed off, I have to say, at the folks behind To Kill a Mockingbird, because have you seen the TV commercials for it? They're all over, at least here in New York. They're promoting it, and they put it on the news channels, and go see To Kill a Mockingbird with Jeff Daniels and scenes from the show. That's fine. But underneath, they're actually playing the Elmer Bernstein musical score from the film. And it's not on stage. It's not in the play. And all they're doing is recalling people's memories from the classic 5-star perfect movie. And I think that's kind of a bait and switch. I think that's kind of wait a minute. If you wanted to do something that is so different from the book and so different from the movie that people will go to the theater to see something, a take on To Kill a Mockingbird that is brand new, why are you making everybody suddenly get incredibly nostalgic for the Robert Mulligan movie? Don't get it. Anyway, but that's just a minor complaint, not connected to seeing the show. In terms of the show itself, very watchable. Gripping at times, even though, if you're like me, you know exactly what's going to happen. I mentioned when they open that they take sort of a side track to it, and that the play, in this case, hinges on Tom Robinson's quote-unquote mistake. It's an important part of the movie for a bit, but they really make this whole show hinge on Tom Robinson saying that he felt sorry for Mayella Ewell. Because Mayella Ewell is this poor, downtrodden, physically and sexually abused young girl, becoming a young woman that is Bob Ewell's kid, and her father's a horror, and he treats her badly and he abuses her and stuff, and she has nothing in her life. So she's attracted to this young, strong black man. Well, relatively strong. One of his arms doesn't work. That's part of the story. But she's attracted to Tom Robinson. She goes after him. We know what happens. And he said, when asked, why do you help her? They're not paying you. They're barely even giving you a nickel to bust up a chifforobe. And he says, well, I felt sorry for her. And this idea of a black person feeling sorry for a white person in Macomb County was so astonishing that it became the hinge that the white jury could say, oh, it's ridiculous, he must be lying. How can this black man, not the word they would use, say something like that? Let's punish him for that. So they make that the crux of This to Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway. So given that, it's an interesting way through the piece. They've also beefed up Calpurnia's role, who is the black housemaid who feeds the children and helps take care of them and helps keep the Finch household going. And she has a pretty almost equal level with Atticus. And some critics complained about this, that this would not have been that way in the South of that time, that she would have known her place, disgusting as that sounds, and not been able to engage Atticus essentially as equal adults. But if you treat Atticus with the respect that that character deserves, I had no trouble believing that. I could go with their arguments, with their conversations, and with the hurts that she was able to express later in the play. So that part definitely worked for me. A lot of it worked for me. I just wasn't, I was engaged throughout, and Aaron Sorkin can certainly write dialogue, and there's a marvelous part there for our friend of the Daverhood, Dakin Matthews, playing a judge in the show. He's funny. He's some of the best comic relief in This to Kill a Mockingbird is when they have the trial scene, and you need some comic relief in that trial scene, and Atticus is, Atticus, it's not that he knows the law better than the judge, but the judge is kind of in his corner, but has to appear unbiased. So sometimes the judge will look at these scum, these people like Mayella Ewell and Bob Ewell and these other white racist townies, and what is wrong with you people? And Atticus will have to tell the judge, it's like, at least the appearance of equanimity or of unbiased judgment here, Your Honor. And the judge, yeah, right, sorry, thanks Atticus, thanks for the reminder. So that is kind of fun in the show. And it's definitely worth watching, it's worth seeing. I just can't say that I was profoundly moved by it. I was kind of touched a little bit here and there over certain scenes, and yet not overwhelmed. Again, it's not fair to compare it to the movie, but how could I not? So, and then I will say that in this particular case, maybe if I had worn my hearing aid, I would have had a better time too. Because I admit I'm partially deaf in this ear, lost some frequencies here. So some actors I have no trouble hearing and understanding just about every word, and I'm still hearing enough and young enough that I blame the other actors if I can't understand what they're saying, rather than having some hearing difficulties in one of my ears, right? So I will lay this at the doorstep of Jeff Daniels, the guy playing Atticus Finch. He's very good. He's doing a Southern accent, and there are a lot of times when I could not understand what the hell he was saying, because he was doing it in sort of a mushy Southern accent. And I seem to be the only one complaining about this, which is why it makes me think that it was just about my frequencies and my problem hearing, and I should have brought my hearing aid for this play, rather than blaming Jeff Daniels and saying, hey, look, I know you want to have an accent, but you should be, the things that you're saying should be clear. And you need to have your diction, even if you're doing a Southern drawl. And I saw Jeff Daniels in a play, a bad play, a couple of years ago. It was a two-hander, and this guy, and did he molest this woman or Willie, when she was a student and stuff, and was just overheated and overwrought, and he was actually terrible in it. He was overacting all over the place, but I had no trouble understanding what he was saying. This time, he's perfectly good as Atticus Finch, and I'm sure he'll get a Tony nomination, but I ain't, if I had to sit there every time he opened his mouth and go like this to try and figure out half the things he was saying, that is pulling me out of the play, and I have to say that. I didn't have any trouble with Celia Keenan-Bolger and Will Pullen as Jem and Scout, or Scout and Jem, actually, the daughter and the son. They have big roles, and some people say, oh, but they're played by grown-up actors. They're not played by children as they are in the movie. Don't care. It's a memory play, in a sense, worked fine for me. And they're both really, really good. I would very much like to see, certainly, Bolger get a nomination, but they're both really good. The kid playing Dill, I don't have his name here, also good, but I couldn't understand him sometimes. Couldn't get his line. I would love to hear from other people then. If it's just me and it's just my hearing, or have other people gone to Kill a Mockingbird and said, I kind of liked it, but boy, I sure wish I'd understood some more of what certain characters were saying. Whereas other characters, no problem at all. Just letting you know. So that's my take on To Kill a Mockingbird. I give it 3 stars. I know it's a very popular play. It's a big hit. I think they've extended it already. And I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm not saying don't go see it. But I'm saying it didn't really strike me as all that special. And maybe you'll have a different reaction. But it's To Kill a Mockingbird. You can see it at the Schubert Theater, one of the best-known theaters in all of Broadway, the Schubert Theater over by, I believe, West 44th Street, by Aaron Sorkin. And that's my review on Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By. Well, we have one more piece of Broadway news for you, but before I get to it, I need to remind you, of course, that we couldn't do this program without the fine folks at Total Theater. Now, Total Theater, the company, does 2 wonderful things. They have a website called totaltheater.com. It's free. You can surf hundreds, nay, thousands of theater reviews from Broadway, off and off-Broadway, regional and international theater and festivals, just by going to totaltheater.com. E-R or R-E, doesn't matter how you spell it, totaltheater.com, and just click on the Criticopia section to browse to your heart's content, or click on What's New to see all the shows that are currently still running on Broadway and all over the country. Or you can even click on the master list of every single review in alphabetical order that we have on the site. It's all free. It's great for students, it's great for scholars, or just people who love the theater. And then the Total Theater Company puts out this wonderful magazine. It's called Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway since 1944. So you see the pretty color cover. This is from Kiss Me Kate. This is the show we were just talking about, opening tomorrow night, Be More Chill, and then opening in just a week or two, couple of weeks, Ain't Too Proud, the Temptations musical, also on Broadway. We go into the magazine. You've got a guide to every show currently running on Broadway, when shows are going to be opening, or either this season or even next season. Okay, I get my pointing right here. You've got the guide to Broadway theaters and their tenants. In other words, every single theater on Broadway, I'll hold this closer to the screen, and how many seats it has, who owns the theater, what plays are opening, closing, and are about to open and close on Broadway in the months and weeks ahead. And then press agents. These are the folks who handle all the Broadway shows. What are their email addresses, their snail mail addresses, their phone numbers? So let's say you want to talk about Polk and Company, because they're pretty big. They handle the upcoming revival of All My Sons. They're handling Anastasia, which is closing pretty soon. The Band's Visit, which is also going to be closing. Beetlejuice, Burn This, Come From Away, Frankie and Johnny, all of these handled by this one press agency. How do you contact them if you want to know something about that show? If you want to buy house seats? This is your guide to that. And then this is why this is an industry leader in terms of everything that's going on the stages of New York. Look, day by day, Broadway current. These are all the shows currently running. This is shows opening and starting previews in March. and then April and May and June, day by day. It's a chronological listing. We move forward, and you can't get this anywhere else. We do the same thing for off and off Broadway too. And then we move to the heart of the magazine. Look at that. Every single show on Broadway, comprehensive listing. This is all the producers and how to contact them. Here's the press agents again. Here's the actors, the designers, the writers, some notes about the show, the synopsis. Every single show either currently playing or set to play in the future on Broadway. And then again, the same thing for every off-Broadway show. For example, let's just pick one out of the blue here. Here's a revival of Athol Fugard's Busman and Lena, the South African play. Here's the plot. Here's some notes on it. It's done by the Signature Theater. Here's the contact information for them. It's the press agency's Bono O'Brien Brown. It's at the Signature. There's their address and phone number. And this is when it's running and when it's playing too. All the info about every single show on, off, and off Broadway. How do you get yourself Performing Arts Insider? By going to performingartsinsider.com, the Bible of Broadway. It is not a website publication. It is a hard copy. You can read it the old-fashioned way, on the train, on a plane, on the bathroom, in the bathroom. Be kind of weird to be on the bathroom. But yeah, sometimes it's still nice to get some paper, something you can thumb through, open on your desk, open to the index page, open to the table of contents page, and instead of opening 10,000 windows on your computer. PerformingArtsInsider.com is the one window you should open, and you can either subscribe for 21 issues a year or 12 issues per year, or even send away for our most recent issue. I think it's $16. All the info is at performingartsinsider.com. It's expensive, but the people who subscribe renew year after year because they can't get this wonderful info anywhere else. It is the Bible of Broadway. Well, I'm going to give you one more bit of Broadway news. Now, you know how Bruce Springsteen had that huge hit last year, going just towards the end of December, where he was just going to play a couple of weeks, one-man show with his guitar, telling about his life and singing some of his most famous songs that dovetail with his autobiography. I started watching it on Netflix. It's really, really good, but people were just massing to see it because Bruce Springsteen on Broadway doing his thing. Well, when you have a hit like that, it inspires other people to do something similar. And so this week, it came out that the next person who's going to do a Broadway concert will be, well, just like everybody else does, Morrissey. That's right, Morrissey is going to be coming to the Lunt-Fontanne Theater from May 2nd to May 11th. And it's going to be at the, I kind of screwed up some of the writing here, but, I had another piece of Broadway news. That's right, I'm sorry. I mixed up two things. Excuse me. But yes, Morrissey, you know him from The Smiths, How Soon Is Now. Plus, he had a very long solo career. I think he has got about 12 or 14 solo albums out now, and he probably has a new one that he'll be pushing and playing at his concert May 2nd through the 11th at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater on Broadway. Morrissey of The Smiths. And I forgot to mention also that congratulations to the producers of the Broadway show Network, of course, based on the Patty Chayefsky screenplay adapted by Lee Hall and Ivo Van Hove, that enfant terrible director directing it in apparently a very exciting way. Network just recouped after only a few weeks because it's got Bryan Cranston in it. It's a very hot ticket and a pretty pricey ticket. So it's at the Belasco Theater on Broadway. It's been extended through June 8th. Tony Goldwyn is also in the show. So recouped means that the investment made, the millions of dollars that it took to bring Network to Broadway, they've made it back. Okay, so they've been able to pay the investors all their money, and now from here on in, assuming the show reaches its weekly nut, all the rest is gravy, all the rest is profit. So congratulations to the folks at Network. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that yet. Hopefully I'll be able to get to see that during the spring season. But Network on Broadway, an official hit. If you ever wonder what they really mean by a hit, versus a flop on Broadway. It has nothing to do with the critics. It's got nothing to do with audience liking it or word of mouth. It just means, did it make its money back? Did it hit the black on the books? And Network just did. So congratulations. And also congratulations to Morrissey for making the decision to come to Broadway and do his music. Let's hear some Morrissey music, just a little bit here on Dave's Gone By, to take us out of inside Broadway.
I'm Kid Wells and the best of health in the future when all's well.
Yes, in the future, all will be well because we're getting people like Morrissey to do Broadway concerts. Anyway, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It's 10 to 11 Eastern Time here in the Daverhood, where we're doing the 688th Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. We've been doing these since October of 2002. So if you're curious about what the show used to sound like back before we were doing it on Facebook and it was just audio, go to davesgoneby.com. Our website, davesgoneby.com. That is where the archives reside. They're free. You can either stream them on your computer or download them to a device. They're MP3s. You can listen to the very first episode of the show, going back to October of 2002. It was an hour long, emanating out of a radio studio on Long Island. And then we ballooned to an hour and a half. And then we did the show online for a bit. And then, of course, for several years, I was doing it at the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. And that was quite wonderful. But now I'm in New York again for a while. So we're doing it this way. And of course, having the wonder of doing it on Facebook, doing it visually to you guys. Is it weird if I look directly at you? Because normally I'm staring at the screen to sort of watch me. But if I look right here at you guys, you are feeling very sleepy. Very sleepy. You will send me money in the mail. No, but anywho, that your parents' little green papers, if for all you soupy sales fans. So yeah, davesgoneby.com for the first episode, the 10th episode, the 100th episode, the 500th episode. They're all there for your enjoyment to listen to at your leisure. Plus, we have a separate archive of all the interviews that we have done on the show. Like if you missed Renee Taylor last week, and you don't want to wade through the whole 2.5 hour, 3 hour show to hear her part, there's a separate archive of just her interview with Rabbi Saul Solomon. You can see that and hear it on davesgoneby.com. I also do want to let you know that if you want to get in touch with me, it's davesgoneby@aol.com. davesgoneby@aol.com. Or, of course, you can leave me a message right here on Facebook, either during the show. Haven't gotten a lot of comments today. I haven't gotten a lot of things to respond to from you guys, but you can do that all during the week as well. davesgoneby@aol.com, and right here on Radio Dave Lefkowitz, the Facebook page. Do say hi. Do get in touch. Well, we have more to do on this episode of the program. For example, we have our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. We also have a Colorado Limerick of the damned. But before we get to all that, caveat emptor, more of a disclaimer, more of a parental advisory, folks. Want to warn you that we're going to go back into StoryTime today. Now, StoryTime is a segment that I used to love. We started doing it when I found a book called A Cow for Hansel. And we actually read week by week the entire book on the air. And it was delightful. And then we did smaller children's books, like one about a crazy chicken. We did one about the vegetable friends. That was my favorite. And then we did, let's see, a book of home health emergencies. We did, Rabbi Saul Solomon read a book about Jewish children and their day. Just we've had a lot of fun. I did my 1987 driver's manual from New York State and poked through that. So all of these things have been fun and enjoyable and kind of nostalgic and goofy and cute, and I goof on them. But now, unfortunately, I do have the unfortunate and sad job of saying that once again, our story time this week, like it was last week, we'll be dealing with a book, brace yourselves, about New Jersey. I apologize in advance. Let us tell the story of StoryTime.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would, you gotta give in so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is story time here in the Daverhood on Dave's Gone By. So get yourself some cocoa, get yourself a blanket, maybe a roaring fireplace. Don't even bother, since it's New Jersey, don't even bother with an actual fireplace. Just take some logs, dump them in the middle of your living room and set them on fire. You might as well, because we're going to learn more about New Jersey, past and present, from this book by Joanne Mattern, I think is the word, Joanne Mattern. It's from a series, and they did all the different states. They had Colorado and Maryland and Michigan and Missouri and Oregon, but we have to do this one. New Jersey, past and present. Now, we were talking about the topography, the geography of New Jersey last time, and boy, wasn't that a thrill. Now let's move deeper into the book for Chapter 2, the history of New Jersey. So even Stephen King does not convey the horrors of that we will be talking about here. New Jersey's first residents arrived about 10,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found the sites of camping areas along the Atlantic Ocean that were left by ancient fishermen. Of course they were left. They took a look around New Jersey and said, hey, let's go to New York. Native American settlers. Native Americans. This book was written in 2010, by the way. So this is before First Nations became the preferred term. But the Native Americans who lived in New Jersey were called the Lenape, or the Delaware Indians. See, even the Jersey Indians didn't want to be associated with New Jersey. Like, no, I know we're sort of in the Garden State boundaries, but could you please call us Delaware? And then, the Lenape lived in permanent settlements, but traveled with the seasons to make use of natural resources. During the spring, they planted gardens around their homes, which were wigwams and longhouses made of saplings and bark. Still kind of describes some of the apartments in Greater New Jersey. In summer, they caught oysters, clams, fish, and crabs at the shore. And if you've ever caught crabs at the shore, you know how many shots it takes to get rid of it. When fall came, they harvested their crops, which included corn, beans, squash, and Drake's devil dogs. The Lenape survived the winter by hunting deer, raccoons, squirrels, and bears, and eating the food that they had stored from the harvest. And then, yes, it's America, folks, the Europeans arrived. In 1524, you give Columbus all this credit, 1524, an Italian explorer named Giovanni da Verrazzano, see, Sarah, we're making a bridge across this. Giovanni di Verrazzano, sailing for France, became the first European to explore the coast of New Jersey. However, and rightfully so, his visit did not last long, and he did not have much contact with the Lenape, lucky Lenape. The Native Americans' first real contact with the Europeans came in 1609, when Henry Hudson sailed into the area. Hudson was an English captain sailing for the Netherlands. Hudson traded with the Lenape, and although one of his crew members was killed by an arrow, his efforts opened the area to exploration by other Europeans. Soon, Dutch and Swedish colonists settled in New Jersey. The Dutch called their colony New Netherland, and the Swedes called their colony New Sweden, because they just didn't have much imagination back then. The settlers set up trading posts where they gave goods to the Lenape in exchange for furs. The settlers then shipped the furs to Europe, where they sold for a lot of money. In fact, just got to move my jaw a little bit. The fur trade became so profitable that fighting broke out between the Dutch and the Swedes. Who knew? Weren't they supposed to be the most peace-loving people, Hollanders and Swedish. They stayed out of all the modern wars, and yet they were trying to kill each other over fur. Go figure. By 1655, the Dutch, under Governor Peter Stuyvesant, had forced the Swedes to surrender control of New Jersey. I bet they regretted that. The Dutch claim to New Jersey did not last long. In 1664, Great Britain took control of all the lands held by the Dutch. Great Britain's Duke of York gave the area between the Hudson and Delaware rivers to Lord John Berkeley and Sir George Carteret. Carteret had been the governor of a British island called Jersey, so he decided to name the new territory after that island, and from then on, the land was called New Jersey. Exciting stuff, huh? Great Britain opened New Jersey to colonists. To attract people, Britain offered colonists religious and political freedom. Maybe not so much for the Native Americans, but for the new people coming in. People who were persecuted for their beliefs eagerly left England to start a new life in the New World. The Quakers were one of those religious groups that arrived. In 1675, Lord Berkeley sold his share of the colony to the Quakers Edward Billinge and John Fenwick. Thanks to the sale, the colony was then divided into two portions, West Jersey and East Jersey. I did not know that. West Jersey became the first Quaker colony in America with its own government and capital. However, there were so many disputes between East and West Jersey that in 1702, Great Britain's Queen Anne took over the two colonies and united them into one royal colony. By the way, I feel regal and royal here because it's 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, and we're doing Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, here on our Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and find out more at davesgoneby.com. It's our 688th episode. We're calling it Daylighted to see you, because we have a little daylight poking out over there. Plus, we're going to be changing the clocks in a couple of hours. I promise we won't be on all the way until then. But oh my gosh, we're doing story time with the history of New Jersey. There's more. Although New Jersey offered freedom to settlers from Europe, it was not so generous to the Native Americans. The Lenape suffered greatly because of the European influx. Thousands of Lenape died of European diseases, and fighting broke out over land ownership and settlement. The Lenape wanted to preserve their forests for hunting, while the European settlers were determined to clear the land for their farms, mines, and towns. By the late 1750s, most of the Lenape had left New Jersey and moved to areas in New York and Pennsylvania. Yeah, Team America, fuck yeah. The American Revolution comes to New Jersey, which, like other American colonies, had many problems with the rule of Great Britain. In 1776, the colonies banded together to form the United States and fight for independence. Much of the ammunition and guns used by General George Washington's troops were made in the ironworks of New Jersey, and a large part of the Army's food was grown on New Jersey farms, which is why a large part of the diarrhea suffered by, no, just kidding. Washington himself led the Continental Army through New Jersey. On December 25th, Christmas, actually, 1776, he brought his troops across the Delaware and attacked British and Hessian troops the next day. Known as the Battle of Trenton, this surprise attack was a great victory for the Continental Army. Washington's crossing of the Delaware is depicted in a famous painting by Emanuel Leutze and is still commemorated today. This is pretty much it. Here's the painting. They've got it a little bit small here, but look at him. There he goes. He's crossing the Delaware, which was probably already so polluted that they didn't even have to row. They just kind of pushed it across the sludge. Washington crossing the Delaware. Other vital revolutionary battles that occurred in New Jersey were the Battle of Monmouth in 1778, until finally, in 1783, we won the war, and New Jersey became the third state to ratify or approve the U.S. Constitution in 1787. And now it's time for New Jersey to grow. Post-revolution, New Jersey became an industrial leader. The Great Falls of the Passaic River, and I feel very bad for the Passaic River because it has these great falls, keeps trying to get up, and it falls again. and probably should have a walker at this point. The Great Falls of the Passaic River was a natural spot for mills because the water could power the machinery. The city of Paterson, built at the falls in the early 1800s, became an important factory town making cotton cloth. Later, in 1840, Paterson became a center for manufacturing silk, which gave the town a new nickname, Silk City. Not a nickname that apparently stuck. Don't know if anybody has ever called any part of New Jersey Silk City. Other cities also became important industrial centers, like Newark, Jersey City, and Hoboken became important factory towns in the northern part of the state, whereas in southern New Jersey, they had glasswork factories. Food and drink became popular industries too. In 1869, Welch's Grape Juice Company began making juice from the vines in Vineland. Look at that, there's a Vineland, New Jersey. That same year, Joseph Campbell, not the mythic writer, I assume, he used New Jersey's plentiful tomato crops, do tell, in his new canning plant in Camden. That plant eventually grew into the Campbell Soup Company. It's not like ketchup, but, in a pinch. That's right, potato. New Jersey's location near the water and between New York City and Philadelphia made it a natural center for the shipping and railroad industries. In fact, in 1827, Thomas Rogers began building steam locomotives in Paterson, and the city soon became a center for locomotive manufacturing. Shipyards flourished along the coast and rivers, and shipping of goods expanded even more with canals and railroads that connected New Jersey to New York and PA. New Jersey cities became major destinations for a flood of European immigration during the 1800s and 1900s. So you had people from Italy and Poland and Ireland and Germany who found work in factories, railroads, and shipyards. And World War II made them even more profitable because they produced ammunition and tanks, chemicals, battleships, airplane engines, and communications equipment. So yeah, New Jersey growing by leaps and bounds until the point of, talk about really telling the truth here. In this book about New Jersey, here's our little past and present extra special story sidebar. Nike missiles at the ready. What? Nike missiles at the ready. Let's read this. During World War II, from 1939 to 1945, in case you forgot, the Soviet Union and the United States were allies fighting on the same side. And this didn't happen until we had President Trump back in office again. However, almost as soon as the war ended, deep mistrust and escalating tension between the two powerful nations led to a different kind of conflict, the Cold War. The United States and the Russians feared that one nation would attack the other, triggering another worldwide conflict. Each built up powerful arms systems, say nice, here's a good powerful arm, that included different types of long-range missiles, as well as a defensive system against unexpected attacks. During the 1950s, the US government built a number of Nike missile bases in New Jersey as a defense against enemy attacks. Nike? Well, we know that they explode. This kind of explains a couple of things. Same company? Nike missiles were radar-guided and designed to intercept and destroy any incoming Soviet bombers. They were meant to be a last line of defense against Soviet airplanes carrying bombs. Because these missiles could only travel a short distance, all of the bases were located near major targets. Missile bases in northern New Jersey were designed to protect New York City, plus there were bases in southern New Jersey guarding Philadelphia. Nike bases, including underground bomb chambers that housed up to 24 missiles and, I guess, 8,000 seekers. The bases, often located in suburban areas, were off limits to visitors. They were protected by rows of barbed wire fences and patrolled by guard dogs and soldiers. By 1974, the fear of a military attack by the Soviets decreased, and also technology improved and surpassed the Nike missiles. So the entire Nike system was deactivated and closed down. The government sealed the bomb tunnels shut and abandoned the bases. Today, some of the missile bases are still empty ruins, while others have been redeveloped into neighborhoods. One base in Livingston, New Jersey, has been preserved and renamed Riker Hill Park. It's open to the public and is a place where visitors can learn about a little-known part of New Jersey's military history. And gosh, I kind of wish I could take my phone and ask about the Nike company and just wonder how they went from making missiles to making exploding footwear. Well, anyway, I'm just exploding with joy talking about New Jersey on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream live on this Saturday, March 9th, 2019. So, yeah, we'll pick up our story next week. We'll do a bit more of New Jersey because, weirdly enough, I've been enjoying this book, and I hope you have too. Do we have more to do on the show? Because supposedly we should be over at 11, but no, just a bit more to do for you on this Saturday, including our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and coming up, our Saturday segue of songs in the news. But before we get to that, I mentioned before that we had, Renee Taylor on the program last week, and we're hoping next week to have a friend of the Daverhood, someone who was on this show about 4 years ago when he was doing a one-man show in Chicago, and that show is finally coming to New York. So fingers crossed, if the weather holds and we can get to him, we'll have him back on the program talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. I don't want to jinx it and say the name, but it's going to be kind of cool to have him back in the Daverhood for next week. So we get a lot of cool people, some of them well-known, some not so, but all of them talented and joining the Daverhood as our guests. We've had hundreds of them over the years. You can go, as I've said, to davesgoneby.com and listen to the archives. But we also keep track of people who've been on the program because they end up doing other things. They're in a different show, a different Broadway or off-Broadway show than the one that they were in when they were on this program. They put out new music. They've written a new book. Something else is happening in their lives. We'd like to let you know. We follow them. We call this the Friends of the Daverhood. If I could just find it and let me do it. Oh, it was such a nice segue, and I blew it. But here it is. So who are the friends of the Daverhood for this Saturday, March 9th, 2019? Well, I want to, first of all, wish a refuah shlema to our friend of the Daverhood. That means get well and fully well soon, completely well. To our friend Andy Probst. He is a theater writer and theater critic who has been battling colon cancer. I'm not giving away anything that he hasn't put out there on Facebook, but I didn't know about this. He had a tumor removed a few weeks ago, and they got it. They got it all, and it didn't spread, but because that tumor had grown to a point where it was a little bit invasive, he's still technically stage 2. So he's doing some chemo, he's doing some radiation, but hopefully Andy's going to be doing fine and feeling fine, and we wish him all the best from the Daverhood. Want to let you know that today, or I think it's tonight, Alice Ripley is the witch in Into the Woods in concert that is at the Patchogue Theater on Long Island. On Monday, Seth Rudetsky hosts Broadway at Town Hall with Jeremy Jordan of Newsies among the people performing. Also on Monday night, Sherry Eaker, our friend, she used to run Backstage Magazine. Sherry Eaker is presenting the Bistro Awards for Nightlife and winning a Lifetime Achievement Award. From the Bistros this year is our other friend of the Daverhood, songstress Judy Collins. So she will be there as well. This coming Friday and Saturday, we mentioned it before, Renee Taylor doing her one-woman show, My Life on a Diet, at the Gateway Theater in Bellport, Long Island. Playing now through the middle of March, Karen Mason, the wonderful cabaret singer. She will be at Birdland. She is at Birdland. Go see her. Ruben Santiago Hudson is doing his solo play Lackawanna Blues at the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles through mid-April. Playing now through tomorrow is a musical. I don't know if they've extended it. I should probably check. But it's a show called Alice by Heart at Manhattan Class Company on 24 Bond Street that has music by Duncan Sheik, but it's co-written by our friend Stephen Sater. The band's visit on Broadway. You have one more month to catch this terrific musical, which has a score by David Yazbek. Also letting you know that out in Florida, in South Beach, Avi Hoffman is co-coordinating something called Yiddishkeit at the Betsy. It's a lot of Jewish and Yiddish-oriented readings and performances and seminars. Avi Hoffman out in Florida. On Broadway, beautiful. The Carole King musical features a book by Douglas McGrath, our friend. On Broadway also, Come From Away at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater is written by Irene Sankoff and David Hine. And oh, by the way, I want to wish congratulations to them because we got news that the national tour of Come From Away recouped in just 19 weeks. And also, they just got 4 nominations from the LA Drama Critics Circle. So yay to Irene and David, our friends of the Daverhood. Hamilton on Broadway has Daniel Breaker playing Aaron Burr. Let's see, Dakin Matthews, we mentioned him earlier. He's in To Kill a Mockingbird. Danny Burston is on Broadway in My Fair Lady at the Vivian Beaumont Theater. Jim Caruso's cast party every Monday night at Birdland in Manhattan. I want to let you know, you should go to earwolf.com to hear Gilbert Gottfried's amazing Colossal podcast. As a matter of fact, our friend of the Daverhood, Austin Pendleton, was just on there a week or two ago, and you can listen to the archives of Gilbert's amazing podcast. Leslie Jordan and Vicki Lawrence are in The Cool Kids on Fox TV on Friday nights. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento is still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. And finally, Leslie Hoban Blake and Charlie Gross co-host Two on the Aisle on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You can see that, stream that at mnn.org, manhattanneighborhoodnetwork.org. And also, Eva Heinemann hosts High Drama, another theater review show. That too is on mnn.org. A shout out to our friend of the neighborhood, Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts about upstate history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Well, it is a little after 11:15 Eastern Time in the Daverhood. Thank you, all of you, for joining us. I noticed my friend Fred from Friendy has joined us, as has Alexandra and Michael and Francis and Wayne, Tina, Michael, Jeffrey, and so many others, wishing us good wishes and thumbs up and hearts and messages too. Remember that you can contact me, davesgoneby@aol.com, or contact me right here. Are we done with the show? No, we've got our Saturday segue. But before then, oh, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't squirrel your kids out of the room for when we were talking about New Jersey to spare them, you might want to do it now, because it's time for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Now, this is a short 5-line poem. Well, 5-line poem would be short, wouldn't it? Unless it was written by Walt Whitman. But short poem that we like to do about various towns and municipalities in Colorado, where we had been for the past 9 years. So one day I just started writing these little poems, and they kept coming to me. But the thing about limericks is, the point of them is that they do a lot in a very short time, and often they almost have a punchline, or they're kind of filthy and horrible and risque. So that's what I try to do in our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where we pick a town and we write something horrible about it in verse. Today's town is going to be Frisco. Yeah, no, we're not going to San Francisco. There is a town in Colorado called Frisco, Colorado. I want to let you know a little bit about it in our Colorado Limerick of the Day.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain, Colorado.
Yes, my friends, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Today we go to Frisco, Colorado, which I honestly had not heard of until I started looking for Colorado places to write about. Frisco is a tiny, tiny town, but it's close to a lot of the ski hubs like Copper Mountain and Breckenridge. Since 1993, Frisco has been the home of the Colorado Barbecue Challenge. Oh, yeah. Other activities there include Nordic skiing, dog sledding, and ski jording. I repeat that, ski jording, which is cross-country skiing while being pulled by dogs. I found it on Wiki, so it must be true. Have anybody heard of this? Ski jording or ski jording, where you're on skis and you let dogs pull you. That is a recipe. I mean, if Sonny Bono had done that, they would still be pulling him off, his blood off a tree. Ski jording. I don't know. Maybe the best, most athletic skier that they have is Michael Ski Jordan. Okay, enough of that. Let's do our Colorado Limerick of the Damned for this week about Frisco. A chubby young lady in Frisco would dance every night at the disco. I kidnapped that hoe and rolled her in dough. I'm frying her slowly in Crisco. Yes, my friends, that is the Colorado Limerick of the Damned for this Saturday, March 9th, 2019. Please send your complaint letters to Dave Lefkowitz. No, I'm not going to give you my address. I better not. But anywho, that is our Limerick of the week. Now we can get to some music in what we call our weekly Saturday Segue. Extra, extra, hear all about it. We provide the rhymes, you provide the reasons. It's our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. Our Saturday Segue of songs in the news. So we've been doing this segment for many years now, and I love doing it. I enjoy doing it, although it's gotten more difficult in the sense that because we're on Facebook now, and also we try and load up our shows on YouTube, they give us a hard time when we play even more than like 20, 25 seconds of music of any copyrighted song. So we've had to cut the musical part of this program back quite a bit, but we still can play just a little and almost get away with it, or else when they let us post the show, they'll mute the musical passage for those 20 or 30 seconds. So I'm just warning you about that. Hopefully we won't get cut off. Hopefully Facebook won't threaten our stream while we're doing it like they used to do. But here we go. Here, your job, should you choose to accept it, is to hear the piece of music that we're playing and then say, aha, I think I know what that song is. Why would Dave play that this week? What does it have to do with something that's going on in the news or current events in the world at large? So it might be the title, might be the topic, might be who's doing the song. Got it? You got it. And so many people who are watching now are people who watch and listen every week. So you've known this for months now. It's our Saturday Segue. So let's get right to it. Let's play a song. Let's see, can we start it right from the beginning? Nope, gotta start it a little bit of a ways in. We'll get it set up and going. Okay, starting our Saturday Segue. Why would we be playing this tune today?
Nobody got nothing in my pocket. That's where I want to be. Beverly Hills.
Okay. Hopefully you heard where they were singing about, what they were singing about. That was the band Weezer. I actually didn't know that band at all, but that sounds like a pretty catchy number. Weezer's song called Beverly Hills. Why would I be playing a song called Beverly Hills? And unfortunately, it's not for a happy reason, because earlier this week, Luke Perry passed away. Luke Perry, man, died on March 4th, 2019 at the age of only 52. He had a stroke a couple of days before and just did not come out of it. Luke Perry did odd jobs in California, and he apparently auditioned for 215 different things before locking in his first TV commercial. Then he did some soap operas, and then, of course, became a well-known heartthrob on Beverly Hills 90210. And he was also in the Buffy the Vampire original film, with Kirsty Swanson. I guess we all kind of forgot about that one. He never did find that other next show that made him as much fame or money as 90210 did, but he didn't have to. He was already doing quite fine. He did a bunch of things after leaving the series and proved that he could do serious roles and act in things like Oz and Riverdale and Jeremiah. He did a Broadway show, actually. He came in during the run of the Rocky Horror Show about a decade back, and he did a play in London that never quite made it to Broadway. He did When Harry Met Sally, a London adaptation that just never came here. But yeah, farewell, man. How weird is that? To lose a cast member of Beverly Hills 90210 already. Someone younger than I am, Luke Perry, passing away. And that is why we played, unfortunately, Beverly Hills from the band Weezer. Okay, now you know, if you didn't already, how this works, how this segment works, called our Saturday Segue. We play a song or part of a song, and then you figure out, hey, how come you're playing that? Let's get to our next one. I'm going to play it from the beginning, because you hopefully know, well, you might know the title.
Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day, with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils.
Okay, prettiest number that songwriter ever wrote, that songwriter being Don McLean, of course. Now, I didn't give it all quite away. If you know the rest of the song, you know that it's about a painter. It's about Van Gogh. So when people think of the song, they think, oh, Starry, Starry Night. That's not the name of the song. The name of the song is actually named for the painter. It's Don McLean's Vincent. Is off his album, his first album, American Pie. Why play Vincent on Dave's Gone By? Well, a bit more sad news. Just a couple of days ago, this is messed up, not a couple of days ago, but back in February, and just announced this week, actor Jan Michael Vincent died of a heart attack. Imagine Jan Michael Vincent dying, and the word not even getting out, and nobody even checking or bothering to care for a month. But yeah, and it's a weird week for heartthrobs, man, right? Where Luke Perry goes, and then a couple of days later we find out about Jan Michael Vincent. Now, he was best known, of all things, for a show called Airwolf back in 1984. Did anybody watch? Apparently, a lot of people watched Airwolf because Jan Michael Vincent at that time was the highest paid actor in a drama series. He was making $200,000 an episode for Airwolf. Has anybody seen a rerun of this? Anybody ever remember it was on? I remember Jan Michael Vincent from back in the day. He was an up-and-coming pretty boy actor with depth. So he was in that movie Tribes, that TV movie, Darren McGavin film, where he plays a hippie who's inducted, who's drafted, and he's always crossing swords and battling with his superiors in the army. He was in The World's Greatest Athlete, the Disney movie. He was in, I remember this coming out, Buster and Billy, which made a big simus at the time because he got fully frontal nude in it briefly. So he was in the Burt Reynolds movie Hooper, and a film called Big Wednesday, which apparently was kind of big for him. I don't know that movie at all, or Bite the Bullet. So he was a big deal. Unfortunately, he was the absolute character study of someone who got too rich, too famous, too fast, and he just plunged headlong into drugs and alcohol and was just ruined by it for decades. And he became an absolutely terrible person. From what at least we're reading about him. I mean, he was married, divorced. His second wife left him because he was abusing her throughout the marriage in the year 2000. So many years later, even after his big years of stardom, he had a girlfriend accuse him of beating her so badly that she miscarried, and she won a civil suit against him. He survived 3 near-fatal traffic accidents. where he had broken bones, and one he injured his vocal cords permanently. And then it's also an object lesson, folks, because I know he's dead, and we say nice things about the dead. But if he was such a horrible person, and I don't care if alcoholism and drug addiction is a disease. There's people who are alcoholics and drug addicts who don't beat and abuse their spouses, and who have friends make sure that they don't get in a car and drive. He was not one of them. So in 2012, right, when he was suffering from the vocal cord stuff, from banging himself up, from broken bones, and he had to have a leg amputated because of another car crash. It was an arterial disease. So he got heart disease. Deserved it, you know. The only good thing to say about Jan Michael Vincent, really, is that thank you Wikipedia for this, in the Rick and Morty program Interdimensional Cable 2 episode, and those are some of everybody's favorite Rick and Morty episodes, where they're just channel surfing of what TV looks like in other galaxies and universes and time zones. So Jan Michael Vincent is the subject of an alien television program, Jan Quadrant Vincent 16, and in this, 8 Jan Michael Vincents are not sufficient to cover the events in 16 different quadrants, but an official refuses to sign legislation to allow additional Jan Michael Vincents. One seems to have been enough. So a not very fond farewell at all to Jan Michael Vincent. Won't be missed, certainly not by the women in his life. So maybe he'll come back and we'll do that samadhi thing where you come back and you pay for it and you're punished and eventually turn into a decent person. But anyway, moving on to further, hey, what happened? I had, where did it go? I saved it. Yikes. There it is. Okay, I never brought it properly into that thing. Okay, just sorry, bear with me, folks. Why will I be playing this song this week in our Saturday Segue?
They say he's so reckless. I'll be in the casket.
Now, who's reckless like that in that song? Now, actually, that's not the person that we're really talking about in this story, but if you recognize that theme song from a television show, that is the song No Apologies, except, of course, this person needs to apologize a lot, probably. We're talking about Jussie, or maybe it's Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett. That song that we played is called No Apologies. It's actually the theme of a TV show called Empire, which I've never seen, but that's pretty good music. I would watch the show now, but not for this guy Smollett. Of course, you've heard in the news what happened. Weeks ago, he came out, he said, this is what happened to me. I was pulled by some racist white guys who were making Make America Great Again comments. They poured a weird chemical on me. They beat me up. They threatened me by showing me a noose and putting that near my neck, right? This happened to me. It's horrible. They go looking, the cops go looking for the people who did this. They find a couple of guys who may have done it, and they also shouted homophobic slurs at him. They find the guys, and the guys say, wait a minute. Now that we're really actually going to get in trouble, we're going to tell you the truth. This guy, Jussie Smollett, paid us to do this. He paid us $3,500 to make believe that we attacked him in this way because he wanted to get his name in the papers. According to the piece that I read about this, Smollett was actually angry because he got a threatening letter. He got he's a TV star, and TV stars have to worry about crazy fans. So he got a letter from a crazy fan, and he felt that the network and the police weren't taking it seriously enough. So he drummed up an actual incident to make sure that the police and the network would take him more seriously. Except allegedly, he made up the whole thing. He lied about it all. And now he has been indicted on 16 counts, felony counts, of filing a false police report because he claimed he was attacked. He was called racist things. They brought him in, and then they brought him in for a second interview, and he still lied about the whole thing, allegedly. So he is out on $100,000 bond. He is claiming that he is not guilty of this, which would mean that it actually happened. We'll have to see. But Jussie Smollett in the news. I and the rabbi are kind of happy that someone named Yossi is in the news and he's not Jewish for doing this. He's like, oh great. Oh, it's cool. He's an idiot. He's using police resources. He's lying to the public. He's embarrassment. He's not Jewish. It's good. It's okay. Anyway, we're doing our Saturday segue of songs in the news here on Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's a little bit after 11:30, and we just have 2 more songs to do for you. Let me get one queued up. Hope I can get it. Here we go. Can I start? Where can I start it from? Oh yeah, I can start it right from the beginning. You'll recognize this. Oops. Sorry. I need a helper here. I just need a helper. Anyway, let's have it.
Woke up, it was a Chelsea morning, and the first thing that I heard was a song outside my window, and the traffic wrote the words. It came a ringing up like Christmas bells.
One of the first Joni Mitchell classics, of course. That from her second album called Clouds. Why would we play Chelsea Morning on Dave's Gone By on this Saturday? Is it a Chelsea Morning? Are we emanating from Chelsea, Manhattan? No. I wish it were better news. I wish it were happier news, but no. The transgender, or I guess she's found her gender now, but Private Bradley Manning, aka now Chelsea Manning, has been brought to court. She has been asked to testify against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Now, Manning, if you remember the whole backstory, was in the military, found all these classified documents and said, hey, the American people should kind of know about these, so I'm going to steal them. I'm going to release them to the news media and bring them out there. Well, she was court-martialed and given jail time and then had her sentence commuted by President Obama. I think she did 7 years in jail. At that point, she was no longer Bradford, or Bradley. She's now Chelsea. She's a woman. And now they want her to testify secretly to a secret grand jury. Who the fuck knew that they had secret grand juries in this country? I mean, this idea that everything is done in secret about these things, about top secret messages and documents, and she's saying, no. The whole point of what I do, the whole point of what I did the first time was that the government is keeping secrets pointlessly, unfairly, wrongly, and dangerously from the American people, who are entitled to know what their government is. It's government by the people, for the people, about the people, and yet we can't see until years later what the government is up to. And now they want me to testify in a closed, secret hearing against a man that I consider a hero for unleashing classified documents from all over the world. And so Chelsea Manning said, oh, no, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to testify. I'm not going to do it. And the judge said, well, you're not going to do it. And she was readily accepting of her fate. He said, you don't testify, you're going to go to jail. It's contempt of court. And you're going to stay in jail until one of two things. Either you agree to testify, you agree to go back on what you're saying and just come in and talk, or until the grand jury is finished. And the law in America working the way it does, that could take up to 1.5 years. She might be in jail for this. So I don't know how I feel. Really, I really feel double-sided about this because I know the government is corrupt. And I know, we all know. Government is corrupt. We all know they're hiding stuff from us. They have no business hiding. We all know they're doing deals, be it the FBI or the CIA or just the tax bureau or whoever, are just going behind and underneath and sneaking and this and doing 1,200-page documents about something so they could hide an important piece of information on page 793. This is what we do. And people are out there saying, why? If it's telling, hostile Arab nations where our missile silos are, again, if you leak that, you are a traitor and deserve to be shot. But just leaking stuff of what the hell our government is doing to us and all over the world, there is some heroism in that and some respect due, because if you read all the comments, 95% of the comments about Chelsea Manning are, if they're not homophobic, they're about, oh, she's a traitor, oh, she's terrible, they should throw her back in jail and throw away the key, right? Because she's doing this against America. She's a military person. You sign the documents when you go into the military that you're doing classified stuff, and if you can't do that, then leave the military, right? So everybody is basically against her. And yet there is a part of me that says, let it out there. Let it come, not under the shadows. Pull the rock away. And if there's a little piece of stuff that still needs to be covered by dirt, okay, cover that part. Redact it if you must. But all this other stuff, and if it stinks, let America smell it. Because that's what America's supposed to be about. Anywho, Chelsea Manning, that's why we played Chelsea Morning on Dave's Gone By. We've got one more song in our Saturday segue of songs in the news. Hope you're enjoying playing along and figuring out why we're playing the songs that we're playing. Got one more for you. Oh, hope I got it. Here it is. And I got to start this one also towards the middle of the song, which I will. Some of these songs are happy, and yet the reason that I have to play them is actually kind of sad. And it certainly goes for this one.
Answers, but I couldn't get the questions right. I lost on Jeopardy, baby. I lost on Jeopardy, baby.
A bit of Weird Al Yankovic there, doing a parody song, I believe of a song by our friend of the Daverhood, Greg Kinn, called, well, I'll give it away here, but it's from Weird Al's in 3D album, song called I Lost on Jeopardy. I lost, instead of My Love's in Jeopardy, we played I Lost on Jeopardy. Why would I play that song today? Oh, awful news if you're a TV watcher, and have been for decades. The news that Alex Trebek, 78 years old, he's alive, but he's not well. He announced this week that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which, they say is like a 3 to 6 month window left. Maybe not, maybe he might be rich enough that for him the window will be 6 months to 2 more years or more, maybe. We hope. Because come on, Alex Trebek has been a great host of Jeopardy. Everybody loved Art Fleming when I was growing up and said, who can replace Art Fleming? And Trebek just had the poise. He had the right, mellow, calm attitude. Right? He had the diction. He had the, he's Alex Trebek. He's great. and you go through periods. I would go through periods of not watching Jeopardy for years, even though it's a very enjoyable program. And then I come back to it, and suddenly I'm like, oh, what a great game this is, right? You watch, and they get right into it. They start the show, boom, you're playing Jeopardy. Then they take a little break. They get the commercials in. They finish the first round. And then that second round, double Jeopardy, bam, 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 that's great. And then the last 10 minutes, I don't bother with. Because they 20 minutes of exciting game. And then it takes 10 minutes for the last friggin' question. I don't need it. I've got other things to do. But for those things, I'll take this for 200, this for 400, Alex, and boom, a daily double. And it's sad that Trebek, and the funny thing is, he was talking about retiring months ago. He's like, oh, how much longer am I going to do this? I'm kind of old, and I might start to lose it. I'm getting old. He's 78 years old. Maybe I don't want to do that. Meanwhile, the network, in its great wisdom, said, no, you're Alex Trebek. You are Jeopardy. We still want you. So he signed on to 2022. So Alex, you cannot die yet. You still have to keep hosting Jeopardy for another couple of years, and then you can die. But no, don't let go yet. Don't quite go away. Not that Drew Carey perhaps couldn't take over. Not that wouldn't Jeremy Irons be a great Jeopardy host? He talks fairly slowly, so he might have to be a longer show. But I'm still, Alex, don't go anywhere. I remember watching him when he had dark hair and this thick mustache, doing something called High Rollers. And these people would come out with these big fuzzy dice and roll them. Did anybody remember that from the 1970s? But Trebek came on in 1984 to do Jeopardy, and he has never left yet. And hopefully he won't for still a long, long time. But that is why we played I Lost on Jeopardy by Weird Al Yankovic to end our Saturday segue of songs in the news on Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz here, coming to you from Long Island. It's 11:45 already in the morning here, finishing our 688th episode of the show. We've called it, excuse me, Daylighted to See You, because remember that tonight, or really tomorrow morning about 1 o'clock, you're going to set those clocks forward. Yeah, you're going to lose an hour of sleep. But think about it, man. You're going to be working. You're going to be coming out of the office at 5:30 in the afternoon, and it'll be bright out, right? It's going to stay bright now till 7 o'clock at night, and it's only March. How wonderful is that? Right? It really makes you feel like spring is here, despite the snow this week, but despite some cold weather and stuff. When you realize that you can come out of the office after an 8-hour day and still go shopping, and by the time you finish shopping, it's first not even sundown. That's going to make you feel good. And don't forget to stand your eggs up, right? I think it's one of the solstice days. So you can turn the eggs over and stand them up and they won't fall over or something like that. Yay, solstice. Yay, spring coming. Yay to this ridiculous clocks back, clocks forward. At some point, the president will say this is ridiculous. At some point, the president will say, why are we still doing this thing that had to do with farms back in the day? Let's just keep one time zone, and then, one time zone too. So it's the same time all across the country. That'd be nice. Anyway, enough. I just reminding you to change your clocks and reminding you to set your clock again a week from today, 9 in the morning Eastern time, for a brand new edition of Dave's Gone By. We should have, knocking wood, a guest, and it might be the guest that I mentioned who's doing the one-man show, or his might be a week later than that. We'll see. But anyway, we'll have some guests for you coming up. We'll have our usual Greeley Crimes and Old Times, our Saturday Segues, our Story Times, yes, with more of New Jersey, and our Colorado Limericks of the Damned, more Inside Broadway, more of what we do every week here on Dave's Gone By. To drop me a line, davesgoneby@aol.com, or just message me right here on Facebook, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Love to hear from you all week long. Well, that's about it. It remains for me to thank you once more for watching. Thank my adorable and wonderful and delightful wife, Joyce, whose ankle I am going to check imminently to make sure that it's not all swollen and puffed out for the tape recorder I accidentally dropped on it. Oh, yeah, old Dave's in the doghouse once again. This is my life, ladies and gentlemen. This is I'm living here in New York, living in the old bedroom I grew up in as like a 12 and 13-year-old, living with my dog to my side. He's been sleeping the whole time, so we're not showing him on camera. My wife, whom I'm accidentally injuring, and this is my sanctuary. This is why I come on every Saturday and talk to you and have fun with you on Dave's. I can't believe Stan just logged in to say hi. Stan, did you actually miss the first 2 hours and 45 minutes of the show? He said, he meant I just got here. He wrote, I just got her. Lucky Stan. I just got her. Please don't leave. I'm sorry, Stan, but remember, you can go into the archives anytime at davesgoneby.com. Just give us until tomorrow to put this episode up both on Facebook, right here on this Facebook station, as it were, and at davesgoneby.com. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. Get ready for turning those clocks. Get ready for springtime. Get ready, by the way, for next weekend when it'll be Purim. Yeah, this will wake you up. Huh? Oh, fun times ahead. It is always a sweet thing to be with you. And gone by. Have a great weekend, everyone, and gone by.